Here we go.
Hello.
Good morning. What's up, y'all? Yeah, Brightside, you should like. What was the announcement we saw last week, Tony? It was like a tweet or something, but it was like Nvidia and AMD are both. They both said they were going to raise prices on GPUs. And the example was
on
like,
the 5th. Yeah,
it was a 5090 went. It was either 5090 or 5080 went from like. What was it?
I think it was 5090. They were saying 2,000 to like 5,000.
Yep, they're gonna go up in price to $2,000 or $5,000. Brand
From
new.
2,000 to 5,000.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So up like $3,000 for 5090 or whatever the fuck. That's so crazy. So it's just bad, guys. It's really bad right now to try to buy PC parts.
Yep.
Yeah, no, Brightside, my PC was blowing up. I mean, I think you guys might remember from certain streams, like trying to play fucking Battlefield 6 while streaming, or like trying to do Tarkov while streaming.
Or my PC blowing up in the middle of so many streams.
Yeah. So we desperately needed it. I think we had like just optimistic faces on, kind of pretending our machines weren't in a bad way, but they were really in a fucking bad way. So we figured out how to make it work. We're coming into 2026 with brand new, equipment. We're dialed in, boys. So it's sick.
I got the new space, of course.
Yeah, look at like Tony's set is different. He's in a new room.
I'm 2 floors away from where I used to be.
LFQ, that's literally the reason we got PCs. Is because our jobs matter. Like the
tax
PC
write-off, bro.
Yeah. So better believe 2026 taxes is going to include these PCs because it has to. So yeah, and in case you guys are wondering, the way that works is, and I mean this is not financial advice or tax advice or any of that shit. The way it kind of works is like when you have your own business, you're going to have to pay some amount of taxes. But if you've made expenses that go over your profits and shit like that, you basically don't pay that to the government. They credit you for it, at least here in the US. So it's
your reported income. So if you made $50,000 and you spend $5,000, you made $45,000 as far as your taxes are concerned.
Yep. So you're essentially saying you're gonna have to pay the money either way, and you're either paying it to the government or you pay it to the business in the form of assets like computers. So that's kind of the way to do it. It's there's that meme from Schitt's Creek where he's like, just write it off. You just write it off. And they're like, the fuck are you talking about? It doesn't work that way.
Who writes that off?
Yeah, you're spending the money, but you choose to either spend it on the business or you spend it, you give it to the government in taxes. So, and that's a very simple way to describe it. It doesn't actually work that way. Hire a professional, hire an accountant. That's the best way to handle your taxes if you're a business. So that's what we do. It's crazy the difference. Like beforehand, I wasn't really talking about it, but when I had all these like different screens up and shit, and I had different things going on, it would get pretty slowed down. Even when I wasn't running something, just like having the stream up and all this other shit was like kind of using a lot of resources. I was on what did you say it was, Tony? Like 7th gen i7?
I think 7th gen. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was on. And we're at what? Gen 15 now or something?
Late 15, 16's got to be right around the corner. Yep.
And I only had 16 gigs of DDR, like Gen 1?
No, 4.
DDR4? Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, it was 2100 frequency. And the DDR5 is now 6,000 frequency. Oh, which reminds me, I need to set up the XMP profile on this and then get all the speed. But yeah, it's good. It's good. The machine is running well. iPhone 4 in 2020 until one of my viewers felt bad and sent me an extra phone ad. Nice, dude. No, I feel that, bro.
So what do you have now? Like an iPhone 6?
Yeah, what's your phone situation, Brightside? LFQ DDR5 6000 megahertz or whatever.
Mine is 6700. 10 max. Okay, 10 max is pretty good.
Hell yeah, man.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I do the same thing, Brightside. Like my CPU, my motherboard was not able to upgrade to Windows 11, so that's how old my motherboard was. And my processor, like I was, it was very old. I think the max speed for that was like 3.2 gigahertz or something, and this new one's like almost 5 gigahertz, some shit like that. So it's more than double.
Sweet spot for Ryzen. Interesting. Okay. Does it just like not utilize faster than 6,000 very well?
Yeah, you talking about like bus speed and threading or something? It still played RuneScape Mobile? Hell yeah, bro. Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, where's Turning Cog at? He needs to. We're gonna do a little bit of a primer today on how to set up P4, and I know Turning Cog needs that, so I'm gonna ping him.
We need to strap Boom down and make her watch this as well. But
Otherwise, you can catch the VOD. All right, sweet. Still gains that can come from higher speeds, but it's diminishing returns after 6,000. Okay, cool.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I need to do the XMP profile because I was looking at system info and the clock speed was like 4.2 or 4.1, something like that. So it's still not even operating at its peak frequency. Even then, dramatic improvement across the board for like literally everything. Oh, and I got that fresh Windows 11 installed. There's like nothing on it. I have three icons on my desktop. Recycle Bin, CPU Z, and Unreal Engine. That's it. It's such a nice feeling. It's freeing. I don't know if you guys remember from the times that I streamed in the last, year or two, where it was just me and sometimes you could see my desktop and I had like a slew of icons on the left. All that shit is gone. Feels amazing.
Well, yeah, LFQ, and then like every motherboard manufacturer will give it some cringe name like Superpower Max or something, and you gotta like go and look up what it's actually called so you know which one you need.
Oh, I got you. I see what you're saying, LFQ. Yeah, I see.
CP. Okay, yeah.
I don't get that deep in the PC stuff. So whatever the setting is, I'm gonna go turn that on the motherboard.
Yeah, we're using XMP as like the way your mom calls everything in Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. We have XMP at home, LFQ. Don't worry about it. How are you guys doing? How are your holidays? I know we saw you last week, but only briefly for a little bit. But yeah, I hope you guys all had a great time. You love the techno music. Nice, Brightside. I'm glad you're using the genre-specific term.
Calling a VG techno? Yeah.
Techno music is good stuff. That reminds me. Last week I went and had a beer with my neighbor, and he was telling me that he was listening to like some shit on the radio in his new car that was it was like the Beatles chronological anthology or some shit, and I was like, yeah, I'm not into that. We started talking about music. I was like, you need to listen to gangster rap and like electronic music and industrial, and he's like, absolutely not. By the way, the dude is like 68 years old, so like people's moms would. Yeah, dude. Holidays were good. Chill times with the fam. Yeah, how was you said last week you just got back from like dinner with your parents or something? That's sick, LFQ. Glad you had a good time. Oh, Tony, we forgot to update the sub badges.
Yeah, we'll get around to it one of these days.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Oh, wait. I have a thing I can do. There we go. We got the prime.
Trying to get the chat working, but
there we go. There we go. We got the prime back. Yeah, exactly, Brightside. You need your
DDR5 and a DDR4 machine. Now you have to get a new motherboard and CPU too. That's the painful part.
Yep. That was my biggest issue with it.
Yep.
Spent Christmas Eve with my parents, sister, her fiance, and the niece. Hell yeah, dude. Some nice family time. Yeah, we went over to my in-laws for Christmas morning. They kind of do like a traditional thing. They make breakfast and we just hang out and do gift exchange and listen to Christmas music. It's nice. We played some code names, which was pretty fun.
That's a good one.
My wife and I utterly destroyed. It was fantastic. I was trying to get my father-in-law to guess fish and chips in England, and I gave him like Knights Templar and I had to say Templar. Yeah, I had to say Templar, and because you can only say one word. And there was something else, and he royalty was the other one. I gave him like multiple clues for it. It was crazy, and he just accidentally guessed other ones. So yeah. Anyway, I asserted my dominance in code names. Yeah, and then let's see, for New Year's, just hung out with Sparkle. We watched some New Year's Eve programming, and then I think that's it.
Like Dick Clark's rocking New Year's Eve or whatever.
we were like, oh man, the state of that shit is so bad now. Like, I kind of miss Dick Clark, like, for real, because it was just kind of like traditional standard fare. Now you've got like Ryan Seacrest and then people you've never heard of, like Instagram influencers, just showing up to like yap about nonsense, and they speak in internet speak that's very confusing. It's weird. I mean, it's not confusing to me, it's confusing to like the general public. Yeah, dude. I really like Stranger Things. Yeah, I like the way they tied it all up. I still think the first season's the best season by far.
Yes.
It's a lot more interesting. It's way more grounded. They kind of got wacky with some stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. The middle feels like a lot of it didn't have to happen, I guess. Like, yeah. That's kind of where I end up, is like the middle two seasons with like the redhead girls. I think it's her older brother.
Yep.
And then with Eddie, like, I don't know, just feel like they didn't have to happen. Or like when Hop is in Russia in the gulag or whatever, like, I don't know. It was cool, interesting stories at the time, but just like they could have probably made like the first season and the last season and it still would have made sense. And other than that, I liked it. I thought it was entertaining.
So spoilers. So plug your ears if you haven't seen it. You don't want spoilers. This is a warning. I'm going to keep it going for a couple more seconds here. I'm still going to word it ambiguously, but if you guys recall and you have watched it and you're up on it, there's a scene in the final episode where a character is attacking another character with an axe. But to make it clear about the motivation, because you'd have been like, wait, what the fuck? That was just like ultra violence for no sake. They did a flashback to the end of season 1 where a character was, met their demise. Just to be like, this is why this person's mad. Don't, hope you didn't forget it was 8 years ago, And I'm just like, that, you guys kind of like...
Well, I'm just going to say it out loud now, so extra spoiler warning, because I don't know who you're talking about, but are you talking about the redhead girl from the first season?
No, I'm talking about Joyce. There's a scene when they're in the Citadel thing, and Joyce goes to decapitate the guy.
Yeah. Oh, are you talking about like Bob?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And then it flashes back to Bob, and because the violence that she just does comes out of nowhere. Like, dude's already impaled, he's like dying, and then she's just like, ah, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Bob died. I
did like Bob, but
yeah, Bob was great.
Yeah.
So I feel like Bob's death was a little bit of a George R.R. Martin move, where they were like, we got to kill this character. So I don't know. Thought it was kind of whack. But overall, I think Stranger Things is good. I think it's a good show. It's interesting. Yeah, I liked it.
You want to know something funny? Remember on New Year's Eve when we didn't stream and I said, I'm just going to turn the first game on and we'll see how long it takes somebody to get it?
Yeah.
Brightside got it in 58 seconds.
Hell yeah. Good
With
job,
the message
Brightside.
that says, I'm going to be on record as the slowest firster ever.
Hell yeah. Good job, Brightside.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. Rudy went out like a bitch. It's yeah. He didn't get to follow Frodo into the Upside Down.
Nice. There you go. Got him.
I only saw the first season. Got you, LFQ. Yeah, I think you're okay only seeing the first season. If you want like a full view of the story, watch it all. It's relatively cogent. I think it's one of the better pieces of entertainment media that's come out. Not the best, but it's still really good. I still like stand strongly on like Chapelwaite coming out of like left field and being really good. I really liked it. I think it was somewhat obscure. I didn't hear a lot of people talking about it. It is incredibly violent. It's pretty scary, but having watched it a couple times now for Dread reference, it's really good. Really good. I like Adrian Brody. I like Lovecraftian stuff. Some stuff I was reading online is people were saying like, they did Jerusalem's Lot dirty. Like the story's so much better in the book. Stephen King is so much better. Like what, blah blah blah. And I'm like, it's still good. Chill. Like it was a good show, and it goes in directions you don't expect it to go in, which I thought was great.
It's a Stephen King book originally.
Yeah, it's based on a book called Jerusalem's Lot.
Okay.
And so Chapelwaite is an estate in Preacher's Corner, which is another town. They're both set in Maine, or both towns are in Maine. So it's like, you know, very Lovecraftian, by the ocean kind of thing, and like real spooky shit. So it's very cool. I liked it a lot. It was a really good story. Amazing visual effects. Queen Anne, what's up? Yeah, it's always Maine. I mean, Maine's a spooky place, you know? Like, if you've been up there. Yeah, Happy New Year.
You can't have a Lovecraftian story like on the beach in LA. It has to be like cold northern East Coast, like
foggy,
Scandinavian, like
deep forest, you know, that kind of shit. All the spookiness of the natural world has to exist. Yeah, it's good. They have multiple spin-offs of Stranger Things already in production. Oh, I hate that, Adder. I'm not gonna watch any of that shit. No way. Yep. If you do want to see something that has good spin-offs, check out Terminal List on Prime Video. Very different. This is like military operator, you know, almost like Tom Clancy, if you guys were into any of that shit. So if you like what is it, Jack Ryan, and what's the other Tom Clancy shit that was like super famous? I'm missing it. Everybody fucking knows what it is.
I don't know. I was confused. I used to confuse Jack Ryan and Jack Reacher, but now I have respect for Reacher. So
yeah, Splinter Cell and Rainbow Six. That's what I was thinking of.
I don't think was Splinter Cell a book. I know Rainbow Six was.
They're all based on Tom Clancy books.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if Splinter Cell is.
I feel like Splinter Cell maybe doesn't fall into that, but I know Rainbow Six is absolutely a series of books. Oh, okay.
Interesting. 100%.
Huh. That's cool.
Baby Genius, bro. What are you talking about? This is Baby Genius? No, dude, get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? Tom Cruise's Reacher was underrated? Yeah, I agree. The problem is that Reacher's supposed to be huge, and Tom Cruise is 5'7", so he's just a little guy. I love Tom Cruise. He's a great, action movie star. He's incredible at that. But I don't know. He's an unconvincing Reacher, in my opinion.
And the new TV show Reacher is just so good.
Yes, as an actor, exactly, Adder. As an actor, as a human being, doing whatever the fuck he's doing. I mean, we all live different lives. Live your truth, Tom Cruise. But it's weird to me, and I'm not telling you to change. It's just weird. It's just weird. Go do your thing, man. You got too much money. You're disconnected from society. But live your life, brother. Have a good time. I appreciate the art that you make. The Mission Impossible movies, MI3 is like one of my favorite movies. It's so fucking good. So good. That's the one where they put the explosive in his wife's brain or whatever. I don't know if you remember that one.
I decided I was going to watch all of them 2 months ago or something, and I've made it through, I think, the first two. So eventually I will watch all of them. But I don't think I've seen any. I've probably seen 3, and I don't think I've seen any past that.
3's the best one, dude. It's so good. Philip Seymour Hoffman, one of his last roles before he died. He just plays such a good fucking villain. Yep. He's like all sweaty and coked out, like talking shit to Tom Cruise. And it's just so good. Like he's being tortured and he doesn't care. He's just like, he's like, you don't even know the plans within plans that I have. Brightside, she changed her name. She's not Bobby Brown anymore. It's
Really?
Yeah, she got married to somebody. Bon Jovi's kid, I think. So she's like Millie Jovi, something like that. It's really weird.
She likes to tell everybody that she doesn't watch movies, and that makes me have no respect for her. But
yeah, she got married to Jake Bon Jovi. She doesn't watch movies? That's so fucked up.
She just come out and say, I do not watch any movies. I've never watched Stranger Things. Like, I don't even know, like, half the references and the things that I'm in. And it just made me go, like, I have no respect for you as an actor now.
Yep. I mean, to be fair, if you've seen her in anything else, she's totally 11 in every role. Like, it's not...
The Netflix movie with the dragon that is Avasarala's voice from... The Expanse, that it was so bad. Oh my god.
Oh, LFQ's criticizing your camera framing, Tony.
Slightly too. Oh, on the overlay. Okay, thanks.
Oh,
because I have a different
webcam, bro. Thank you.
The aspect ratio is a little different. Thanks.
Yeah, dude, Adder, you are fucking spitting with that. Nick Cage is definitely a better actor than me, without a doubt. I think Nick Cage catches a lot of heat for weird ass roles he's done, but he's got a lot of range. He really does.
That's just because he's in debt from buying dinosaur bones. That's true. He's true.
He's a big weirdo, but I love Nick Cage. I think he's great. I like when he does Nick Cage shit. Like if you've seen The Unbearable Weight of whatever the fuck. Hold on, it's such a good movie.
Unbearable Weight of something.
Massive Talent. Yeah, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is such a good movie. I think Pedro Pascal kind of brings it down a bit. I didn't like him as much because he's just Pedro Pascal who has no range. The acid scene was so funny. Yes, it was, Brightside. It was so good.
I presume that's the one that is the meme of like them in the car that I always see.
So he's like... And anything I tell you about it is spoilers. You should just go watch it. It's
okay.
Good.
Yeah, don't spoil
it's really good. Yeah, I was thinking about it and I was like, no, there's no way I can describe any of this without just ruining. It's a really interesting way to do like a meta commentary story where it like references real life shit and sort of breaks the fourth wall a little bit, but it's still in like a fantastic place that isn't real. But I think that's an example of how to do that correctly. Deadpool being another one where like Deadpool breaks the fourth wall and all that. Really good. Yeah, wait a minute. I gotta see this. On my honeymoon, we went to the cenote at the exact same moment with my buddy. Yeah, Tony's got a good question. Your buddy went on your honeymoon with you? Yeah, that's kind of wild, bro. Were you Lucky Pierre? I don't know if I should say that on Twitch. My bad, guys. Brightside got to be Lucky Pierre.
Oh, you swear on your honeymoon. So you're saying that you're not lying, I guess? I'm confused.
No. He went to like Mexico on his honeymoon, didn't he?
Oh, he said I still haven't done my honeymoon. I think he might have just gone to Mexico.
The bachelor party.
You just said the wrong thing.
I got you. Okay, I got you.
Got it.
Bachelor party. Got you.
Dude, you did acid in a cenote on your bachelor party? That's so much better than my bachelor party. Holy shit.
Brightside, you can't spell bachelor right because you did acid in the cenote. You forgot your words, man. Now I can't spell bachelor. Hold on. BACHELOR, right?
Yep.
Yeah, all right. Adder, I thought you went to the Bahamas. Did you do Bahamas and Mexico? Oh, yeah, dude. Mexico's kind of spooky. That's why it's not very expensive. They want people to come there.
What part of Mexico?
Bahamas and Mexico, boy. Yeah, he married his bro, LFQ.
When he said it initially, I kind of thought maybe he was calling his wife his buddy, and I was just like, that's nice.
Yeah, that is. I like that.
They have a good relationship.
It sounds like a great trip, says Queen Anne. Hell yeah. Absolutely. I was trying to think of the joke. There's probably a joke somewhere where, like, you know, drunk cigarettes don't count, but like kissing the bros on the bachelor party doesn't count. So there's some kind of joke in there about that. Sweet. Let's get into a little bit of video game news. It's obviously slow. We're in the slow time of year. And tell me whenever.
Cozumel, Chachobin Jungle, and Nassau, Freeport, and Bahamas. Okay.
Ooh, I never
go to Atlantis. Pretty sure that's in Nassau.
Isn't Atlantis? Oh no, I was thinking of the Carnival. Is Atlantis the Carnival-owned island? Like the Carnival Cruise Line?
I can't remember what that's called, but Atlantis is that huge resort that has the slide that goes through the shark tank or something. Like, yeah, it's crazy looking.
All right, well, I pinged Turning Cog about the P4 primer, so whatever. If he gets it, he gets it. If he doesn't, he doesn't.
Yeah, we can do some news or something for a little bit, and it'll be recorded, so whatever.
Yeah, let's do some news. I'm gonna just check the stream channel because I know you posted a few things in there. Stream, where are you? Stream. All right. What do we have here? Bunch of Ubi stuff.
Just go from the bottom. Start with like high guard, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if you guys are following the discourse around high guard, but it's weird on the internet right now. A lot of people have been calling it Concord 2. They're what, 2 months out?
Like not even 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, so they did the Game Awards announce. Yeah, I know, mocap. We're killing time a little bit. Tony's gonna do a install and set up your own source control with P4 locally primer. Because a lot of people have been asking us about that recently, so we're just going to talk about that. But I wanted to give, like, Turning Cog was one of the people specifically. I chatted with him last week, and he was like, yeah, I think I need to get source control up. And so I talked to Tony about it, and he's like, we should just do it on stream. I was like,
wait, real quick, too. It's $250 to walk in the door of Atlantis. An extra for each thing you want to do. So we snuck into Four Seasons and ate a $200 lunch and enjoyed their private beach. Slipped the delivery, gave security guard a 20.
Hell yeah,
fuck, dude. That's crazy. Hey, there's a bar in Cancun called La Vaca. All the go-go dancers are dressed like cows.
That's crazy. $200 for lunch in Mexico. Yeah. Ate a whole cow, dude. That's very cool.
Yeah, mocap. We kind of have like our team Perforce that's in the cloud. We have another one that we're using right now that Omni is supplying for us from his house for Dread. And then now I use Perforce with those projects enough that, like, even when I'm messing around with just personal projects and experiments and stuff, I would like to have it and moving between computers and stuff. So I just wanted to show you guys kind of an easy way, I think, to get that set up. And I just am, it stresses me out to hear about some of you guys not using any source control. So we're gonna get it right.
Adder said Blizzard is laying off devs all across their teams this week. Gutted middle management on Overwatch. Honestly, Overwatch probably needed to have middle management gutted. Just saying. I don't know what's going on over there, but yeah, that was probably a good call. 4 plates of food and a stack of mimosas. 4 plates. God damn, bro. Just you grown boy or what?
You got to get that money's worth.
Yeah, $200 might as well. Y'all seeing the daily Steam releases, speed runs on YouTube. There's a guy who goes through all the games released on Steam, and it's pretty interesting to see them all. No, if you want to post a link, Queen Anne, drop that in the Discord, please. That'd be cool.
I have watched a couple of those, but yeah.
They still have 200 devs working on Overwatch 2? Yeah, that's weird, Adder. Yeah, no, he definitely is. 4 plates of food is crushing my caloric intake, dude. I'm not even on that level yet. Thank you, Queen Anne. Admittedly, Brightside, so for the last, vacation time when we were off stream or whatever, like I was just no-lifing Tarkov, and that meant I wasn't eating very much. So I probably lost a pound or 2, but like, yeah. Also, Tarkov is good. I know I went off last week about it, but Tarkov is such a good game. It's jank as fuck, but they really found some magic. I think the best.
So the Tigard game, it says it comes out January 26th, and they have literally not posted a single thing on social media since their trailer at the Game Awards.
Yeah, thank you for getting me back on track, Tony. I know that the other thing they were saying, I don't know if it's in this article, but I've seen people saying that like they were reaching out to the team to ask for updates or if they wanted to do any press statements or anything like that, and it's just silence as well. So like they're not posting on their official channels, they're not dropping new marketing beats, they're not responding to journalists who want to know more about it. It's possible that their marketing team is seeing the conversation online and trying to pivot whatever plan they had really hard so that they don't have, I don't know, they're probably in panic mode.
He's speculating that they're going to delay and they just haven't done it yet. But
we don't know what the game is. I have no fucking idea what the game is. And they described it in very ambiguous terms, trying to coin new genre titles and shit like that to say we're different. We're not the game you think we are. And I'm like, nobody knows what you are. Like your gameplay was very unclear in that one trailer you showed. So I don't know. It's not looking good, boys.
A lot of people were saying they should have definitely shadow dropped the game alongside the trailer, because now everybody's just calling it Concord 2 and they have to fight that. And if they had just like released the game, maybe that wouldn't have ended up being the case or something. I don't know, but could see it.
Okay, I gotta read Adder's 4 plates thing. I was on vacation, wanted the whole menu. They had apple cinnamon French toast, but I couldn't skip the breakfast fish tacos, and the eggs Benedict over biscuits was a must. Yeah, goddamn, dude. I probably wouldn't be able to eat all that, but I would have had like several bites of all the things. That sounds amazing. 4 seasons is $2,700 a night. God damn. Yeah, that is a lot. Most rooms are $5,500 a night. Different tax bracket. Yeah.
Is this in Cancun, presumably? Oh no, you said this was in Nassau instead of going to Atlantis. Okay. Yep. Yeah, no, I think like Nassau especially, they get you because it's an island where you don't have a ton of options, so like you're just paying whatever the semi-competitive rate is for that.
Okay, so I'm watching the trailer on stream. Like, I don't understand what this is. I really don't understand what this game is. Have yacht parking? Damn, bro. Yeah, you were living the fucking, what is it? The high life. Yeah. I've not heard a thing about Highguard. So LFQ, this game, I don't know if you, I'm just taking that very literally. This was the game that was the surprise announcement at the end of
this was the one more thing.
Award. Yeah. and everyone was like, what is this? And like Jeff Keighley spent the whole awards show hyping it up and shit. It looks like it's Overwatch with open world stuff. That's my read on it. So like the beginning sequence where the dude like lands on his horse and then like throws his pickaxe at one guy and like throws some shit at another guy and then like goes and harvests the fucking red orb. It made me think there was like open world mechanics to it. But then they show this where you're like storming a base. And I don't understand. I just don't know what the fuck this game is.
Kind of seems like they don't either.
It would benefit them to clarify. They have Iceman thing, rocket launcher, floaty Farah guy. I don't know. I don't understand what this is. It almost looks like Ark Survival with Battle Royale. Yeah, kinda. I'm with you on that.
I do kind of think like Overwatch VR without a storm feels like that's what it's going to be, but I don't know.
Yep. $20 and some confidence gets you places. That's true, Adder. I mean, you could just say confidence. You don't even need the $20, right?
Especially south of the border. You don't need the confidence. You just need the $20.
Yo, you're right, Adder. Highguard looks like they wanted funding and Asian investors had the money. Yep, I agree with that. Mr. Concierge, will you accept 16 gigs of RAM as a payment? Could be worth $5,500 by the end of the year. Yeah, exactly, Brightside. Hey, man, I don't have any cash, but I have these dims for you. Hey, what's up, Lucian Galaxy? Good to see you again. If anything, it shows that visuals do not completely sell a game. I'd be curious how well it does the first week based on visuals alone. I feel like this was a conversation we were having with Adder, and you know, not to put words in your mouth, but the conversation we had amounted to something like, it's a shame that good art can't cover for bad design. Very true. And there's so much bad design in games right now. And I think that's what this is. I will say Highguard doesn't look like it has bad art, but I have no fucking idea what this game is. And I don't think anyone else does either. I think it's a little heavy-handed and derisive to just be like, Concord 2. Like, that's just internet dipshit speak. But because I don't see parallels between this and Concord at all.
A lot of people have said it can't be Concord 2 because they didn't spend like $80 million on it.
Yeah.
Actually, the Concord number, if you include like purchasing the studio and all of that,
it's
is
like 400 million.
Yeah. So it can't be for that, but it's my opinion of it is it's like a live service multiplayer game, and if people aren't playing it, then it will die. And I don't think people are going to play it, and that will make it die like Concord did probably, but I don't know.
I agree with you on that, Adder. Highguard has a pretty solid art team looking at their LinkedIn, but it also looks like Eastern Market slapped to the T. Yeah, I could see that. Like the character designs, I agree. That's one thing. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the like Asian character designs lean very heavily on mythology, and it's not just you know, Asian mythology. If we're talking about like Black Myth Wukong, they also do Norse and European mythology, but a lot of what they do in their artistic styles is mythologically based. So the weird thing is that you're not going to get unique and new IP ideas like Control, for example, right? With like the whole SCP cryptids book and all that stuff, where you're like, I don't know what the fuck this shit is, but it's cool and spooky, like creepypasta based things with like warped nature of reality and the hiss. Like all of that is very unique and new and interesting. So I like that. We're probably not going to see stuff like that out of you know, Asian funded game studios because it's risky to make a brand new IP. But mythology is thousands of years old and human beings relate to it really well. So it's a safe bet. It's rich, it's interesting, but I will say that it's borderline, if not completely, just slop. It is. It's like not super inspired, derivative of existing stuff, you know. It's the way it goes. So would you say the industry needs more narrative world building influence? Absolutely, Lucian Galaxy. I think entertainment as a whole, I know you're a little newer around here, but I talk about like movies and shows and music and stuff like that too. Because I think all these influences are related. You know, we work in entertainment, and entertainment isn't a monolith, but the trends that we see are entertainment media of any kind is indexing very heavily off of big data right now, because we're in a time where information is everywhere, and you can grab all these analytics and try to really focus your business model around them. The problem is everything I just said, you realize there's no art in any of that. And if you lead with these business analytics first, that's how you get slop. So good game, good art, always, especially in games. So like movies, it doesn't really work that way. You can get away with that shit. You know, we've got a whole series of Transformer movies made by Michael Bay that have done very well, regardless of whether or not they're good. That's slop, and they've done very well. So making new art is going to be, I think, the standout thing that we start to see, where especially gamers are going to spend their money. You need a good game, and it needs to be something original and fresh and interesting. I would say that's probably why Marvel Rivals did well, is because they were leaning really heavily on the Marvel established IP stuff. It wasn't a brand new, interesting game type, you know, it was Overwatch. But they did it with this very, very highly developed set of intellectual property from Marvel. So they had all of these different characters to draw from. They could figure out a way to fit them into the game, and that's why it's successful. But I will say that Rivals is definitely a slop in that regard. The Island made you appreciate Michael Bay again, Tony?
Ewan McGregor carried that movie big time. Yeah. I mean, it had Sean Bean in it too. I love Sean Bean, but that movie was so cool. I didn't watch it in a very long time, and they have like imagined future version of like all this crazy stuff, like concept cars and phones, and like, I don't know. It's like, I swear it's the first movie where they were like, what if we pushed like giant fucking train wheels off the back of a semi while it's driving down the highway? And it's just, the beginning of the movie is like so tame, and it has like a really interesting story. And then about halfway through, it's just like, all right, Michael Bay, start blowing shit up. And it just never stops for the rest of the movie. Like,
I think
really good movie. I really like it.
I think The Island is based off of Aldous Huxley, the Brave New World guy.
Something. There's a short story called The Lotto that is loosely similar to The Island, I remember.
He literally wrote a book called Island.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, it's a utopian manifesto. Yep. And that's what The Island is based off of, right? It was like a utopia, but then it gets out.
I mean, spoilers if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. But it's the people in the place are clones of rich people in the real world. So they can harvest their organs, and when they get to go to the island, so they can kill them and take their organs out.
Yep.
But
so it's weird because it's a dystopian novel, but everything is utopian, just like Brave New World, where it is dystopian, but everyone in New London lives in like a utopia.
Yeah, and in The Island, it's very 1984 too, where like they are watching him through a screen in his room, and he's like not even allowed to think about things that are subversive or like wonder about the nature of the world. And,
right. Yeah, Brightside, the game doesn't look bad. It just looks uninspired. Yeah, that's the thing I was trying to say about Highguard. Queen Anne said, it's like you can make the best game with the coolest graphics, but if every aspect of it has never been seen before, it's tough to get people playing. That's where the marketing team is really important. You have to look at Marathon for that, right? Not a new IP, but a reimagining of an existing IP by the original creators, right? Like, well, you could argue that the original creators of Marathon are no longer a Bungie, so maybe not. But either way, there's a chance for Marathon to be an interesting, robust new IP in games. We just have to see where it goes. We have to see like how they handle it and if the game is actually good now or any of that. Yeah, Adder, speaking of Sean Bean, I forgot that was one of the things I wanted to say. Like, I made Sparkle Loser watch Jim Henson's The Storyteller, which, by the way, guys, Very, very good. You can watch that on Amazon Prime. There's only one season of it, but it's really, really, really good. I don't know, Adder. I'm still kind of in the middle. Oh, you weren't around for it. I was talking about it last week, but based on the stuff that I'd seen and played, it wasn't good yet. So hopefully it's good now. I don't know. I do think that the latest Vidoc that they put out didn't have that spirit of the old Bungie Vidocs, the guys who like invented the developer diary. You know, I mean, the whole term Vidoc is weird, but the Bungie came up with that turn of phrase. It's more of like a developer documentary, if that makes sense. It's definitely a marketing piece, but the newest one felt very hollow and like overwrought to me. I didn't get genuine feelings of excitement from any of the people that were being interviewed. They seemed very coached, rehearsed, and carefully scripted, and I don't like that at all. By contrast, if you watch the making of Halo 2 Vidoc that came with the Halo 2 Collector's Edition, everyone in there talking about making Halo is fucking excited about what they did. Really excited, and it was very real and cool, and it was neat to like learn about the people. So I think the Marathon Vidoc to me felt more like we're trying to capture that in a very carefully corporate controlled, you know, marketing messaging format. So it's not the real thing anymore. So I'm highly skeptical. Yes, exactly. Mocap, I knew you'd be into it. Jim Henson's storyteller, all practical effects, fantastic acting, fantastic cinematography. It's old. It was made in the 80s. You know, it's got 4:3 aspect ratio at like 480p. So the visual quality is, you know, the fidelity is low compared to today's standards. But practical effects with good lighting, makeup, and puppetry and shit like that, and good acting, you can't beat that. It's really, really good and still stands up. I'd be curious to survey the game industry, not only in the US, but Asia and other countries. How many large studios, narrative teams play D&D and other world-building things, TTRPGs, sorry. Looking to show how a hobby world-building experience affects narrative quality in the games industry years later, and the types of games they build and the quality. So Lucian Galaxy, I appreciate like your desire to understand that information, but think about what I was just saying with how that gets used to create this like big data analytics corporate slop shit that is like all of our focus groups and data shows that this will be successful. That's why we have bad games coming out now from AAA, because that's everything they're indexing off of. They're not using that like inspired thing of like, I built this new world and I want people to experience it and have a great time, you know, in this new creation that I made or that my team made, right? Any of that. It's very hollow. Though for Marathon, it's easy to say that it's an extraction shooter and people know what that means. For Highguard, it's kind of like Overwatch with bases, maybe. Exactly, Queen Anne. That's my impression of Highguard. I don't know what the fuck is going on with it. Marathon refuses to say extraction shooter. Yep. Yeah, Tony's right on that. I do hope miniatures make a bit of a comeback in filmmaking. Yeah, dude. Yes. We need more practical effects. We lean too much on CG now, and that creates bad stuff. If they do real sims, not just AI generated visuals. Yeah, you're right, Tony. I can say with confidence that a large majority of designers and narrative developers play or have played D&D, but the most D&D obsessed designers I've worked with are the shittiest of their jobs, so I don't think that correlates directly. Adder's spitting there. Very true. So I've played D&D multiple times. I think it's really important for world building. But to Adder's point, I've worked with people who are like, I play D&D, you know, 3 times a week. Designers will get this idea in their head and they're like, this needs to go in the next thing I work on, and they'll obsess over this idea and they will shoehorn it into a game if they've been doing that discipline long enough, and it's a bad design. It's usually like doesn't fit in the game. It's just this pet project that someone's like, I figured out how to finally make this thing I've been obsessing over for the last several years, and you get bad shit. So I don't know. There's a lot of bad designers. It's not their fault. It's the industry's fault, the way people get into design positions. Design is the least mature discipline in games. There's a lot of people who don't know how to do it, and they just become a designer because they're good at the tool set, or they've been at a company long enough that they get an opportunity to become a designer. There's a lot of different vectors to get in there, but like the pure design understanding of what makes design good and meaningful to people, that shit is highly lacking. And you can tell if you're working in AAA which designers truly understand design and which ones don't, and they do the job just because it's the job. You make content to go into a game, and that's mostly what leadership cares about, especially at a AAA level, is that you've made enough content to go into your game so that people play it. They don't care about the quality of the content or like how it fits and whether it's good. D&D players are goblins. Yeah, I admittedly, the thing that makes me not play D&D more is the fandom. It really is. If playing D&D was like the Stranger Things situation, the way they portray it in the show, yeah, that'd be cool. And I've never played D&D where it's like that. Not one time, and I've played dozens of times. I did have, I think the last group I was playing with, we had some really cool moments. We encountered a green dragon that we weren't supposed to fight. We were supposed to like get away from him, but we were way too committed tactically, and so we had some really, really cool moments in that fight. That was cool. And for what it's worth, the guy running the game did a really good job of not screwing us over just to push the story he wanted to do. He's like, well, you weren't supposed to fight him, but like, that's cool. I mean, you guys did okay. Obscure references pulled into cross-genre idea generation is where the magic happens. Yeah, exactly, Adder. I've started DMing, and I think it's made me a better designer. Yes, mocap, that's the practice. If you want to be a good designer, you need to do stuff like being a DM, because you are being a game designer at that point. You have the framework in D&D. If you choose 5th edition, for example, you're like, this is the framework for the game, but I'm creating the whole game within it. So the rule book is almost like a game engine, if you could imagine it working that way. Let's see. As one of them, this is true, says Lucian Galaxy. What would you say that a mature design learning path is? That's a hard question. I think the best way is to practice building a lot of stuff and being very honest with what is working and what is not working. The biggest issue that I've seen, especially in playing D&D, is that the DM, again, has an idea of what they want people to do, and they get mad when people don't do what they want them to do in the story they're telling. And then they kind of blame the players for that, but it's really the designer or the storyteller's fault, because they're the one guiding the experience and trying to get people to do stuff. So if you have to think about it, you have to think about it in a way that's like, well, I wanted them to interact with the green dragon, right? This was like a spot where like the story that our DM had in mind didn't stand up very well. He didn't do a good job of having us, like, he was too vague with the interactions with the green dragon, because he presented as like a sorcerer or something like that, and then we realized that he was a green dragon after we like pushed it and got into a conflict with him. Instead of like heeding his warning and leaving, right, we just ended up fighting him. So that was his fault in not providing us with other motivations to disengage or other options. We just felt like we didn't have an option. The story he'd told us to get to that point, there was this marauding band of orcs. We had to deal with them. They were being led by the green dragon. So like very interesting concepts, but the execution of it and how the players interacted with that idea fell apart pretty quickly. So I think for me, the way I do it, Lucian, and I'm obviously I'm talking myself up here, but to be a good designer in what I've done, and I say I'm a good designer only because of the public reaction to work that I've made. The way I got there was by consuming lots of different kinds of media. Study other good designers, listen to what they say. So like read Hideo Kojima's book, read stuff that he talks about and writes. Bro, who is this guy with these fucking goggles on? I'm looking at the video right now. This is weird shit. Sorry, this is very distracting. So yeah, consume lots of different kinds of stories. Watch Jim Henson's Storyteller. Look at that and be like, man, these visuals are really good for the time, but they don't really hold up super well to 2026 things. It's very different. But think about the obstacles Jim Henson had. Look at Walt Disney's theme park design principles, how Imagineering does stuff. That'll help you understand. And I don't mean like strictly emulate what they do. Try to understand why they did the things that they did. There's plenty of books to read about Disney park design. I think that's kind of the best way. You can academically explore it a little bit. Yo, Mydrong, thank you. Thank you for the raid.
Yo.
The academic exploration of it is interesting. I found that the best tools for me were Scott Rogers' book, Level Up. He was a designer on Maximo and like Pac-Man World or something like that. What I found interesting was in his book, he basically is like, this is what the job of a designer is at a studio. Great. He did a good job of that, helping explain like how you do the day-to-day tasks, how you need to present to the other team, all that other shit. Great guide for that, for being a designer at a game studio. Academically, Jesse Schell's Book of Lenses is really good for learning how to think like a designer. And the core concept, it's The Art of Game Design, a Book of Lenses. What he's trying to teach the reader is how to put yourself in a different human being's perspective. When you're making a thing, it's really easy to get lost in what you're making and not be able to step back and try to experience it as a first-time player. Someone who has no idea what you've made, they walk into it for the first time and they're like, what is this? How are they intrigued? How do they continue to engage with it? How do they react to the things you presented to them? So unfortunately, I think a lot of it is practice. Studying human psychology is a big part of it. Studying storytelling is a big part of it. Joseph Campbell's stuff. I think if you take an official course of study to be a game designer at a university, you're probably going to get a very specific experience that leans more towards the Scott Rogers side of things. They're probably going to have you learn a lot of coding. They're probably going to be like, you need to learn to code. You got to write code, blah, blah, blah. That's not true. You don't have to. It does help, but it makes you more of a tech designer than a pure game designer. So it's complicated is all I can say. There is no mature path. The best designers that exist in game design today are there because they've been doing it for a long time. And there's a lot of like secret sauce that they know that other people don't know. I've said it before on stream. One of the things that I learned from, my time at Bungie that was given to me by like really good, combat designers and stuff like that. Like the guys that made the guns and like the player power expression and movement and stuff like that, was that curves are the most important thing. So you basically put a curve on everything, the animations, you need that. Here, I'll back up. A simpler version of that, if you guys are familiar with Coyote Time, which is a principle in like 2D platformer design, when your player character walks off of an edge, you have some frames to walk back onto that edge. You can move back. So you add a little bit of buffer in there. If everything is like on, off, and flat, you're not going to get, and what I mean is if the player character walks off the edge and immediately falls, you're not going to get a good game feel. And game feel is this hand-wavy, ambiguous designer term. But curves are what create a good game feel in like every way. So if you're looking at player controllers and all that stuff, that's where you're going to find really good stuff where you'll start to feel changes in the game feel. Put curves on everything. Yeah, my drawing, exactly. I do like a nice set of curves. Exactly. Everybody does. Adder says, working on smaller teams is probably best to know at least a little bit of programming. Yeah, you're totally right. At the very least, blueprint is a requirement in UE these days. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Good set of curves comes with a pair of good handles. Yo, that's a very good pun, Adder. Absolutely right. What's up, Acid Hex? How you doing, brother? Happy New Year. Okay, sorry, I'm backed up here. Omni says, seems pansy to encounter a dragon in D&D and be like, nah, dog, I'm gonna run away instead of fight him. Of course y'all gonna fight the dragon. I mean, no, you really don't want to fight a dragon if you're like under level 10. Dragons are very, very, very dangerous, and you have high potential for like permadeath, and they have crazy mechanics with them. So it was meant to scare us away, but we weren't super seasoned D&D players. So like I was the only one in the group who was like, oh shit, a dragon, this is bad. But everyone was too committed. Like other party members were like pushing into the dragon's space and trying to attack it. And I'm like, that's not how we do this. Oh shit, we're in trouble. So we had to commit to the fight. Queen Anne says, dude, I played a game of Dungeon World where we fought an ice dragon at level 2. Somehow won, and it shaped the rest of the campaign. The character that dealt the final blow had become the next Ice Guardian. Yeah, exactly. When you fight dragons, like they're like demigods. So you have to like the consequences of succeeding against a dragon are massive and game changing. Losing against a dragon usually means that party members have died permanently. And then you have to go on like a quest to try to like resurrect them with like a stone or something like that. If you guys have seen the D&D movie, it's actually a pretty good representation of what an ideal D&D campaign should be like. They did such a good job of representing the characters. Like when, I can't remember her name. Michelle Rodriguez's character like picks up a brick and like beats 4 city guards to death with it. That is peak barbarian gameplay. That's literally how barbarians work in the game. So a player would be like, I'm going to try to pull this stone out of the floor and use it as a bludgeon, like, and then you roll for that shit and you start doing it. Barbarians will have bonuses to make that shit work. So that's their whole thing. Okay, so I think I caught up on some things. I missed this one. Adder said the most important, I think it's most important that narrative and world builders are more obsessed with content consumption. Absolutely. Yes. That's the thing that I keep harping on, right? Having the mental library of things to reference is invaluable. Majority of my design and world building meetings are us using movies, shows, comic books, etc. to inspire as inspiration to drive ideas. So a really good example I can give you guys, I had this idea working on D2 for the world quest on Titan, and that was one of the first things that I got to drive on my own. So I was like, I think it'd be really cool, back in the Halo games, we had this sort of sense that all of the AI NPCs that you fight against had personality. They had their own motivations. They were doing things like Grunts and Sangheili were different, and they had a hierarchy, and they all worked inside the Covenant in these like intricate ways. But that manifests through gameplay. So backing up, I like that concept that you might be able to negotiate with some of these enemies. And in Destiny lore, it was established that the Fallen were once followers of the Traveler, but they had lost the Traveler's light. So they were all kind of like revering the Traveler and still trying to get back in there. So when I made this quest, I thought about this movie that I saw with Randy Quaid. It's called Enemy Mine. This is an old ass movie. Let me look this up real quick to give you guys some background. I'm going to do the IMDb. 1985. Dennis Quaid. I'm sorry, Randy. And sorry, Dennis. Dennis Quaid was in it. It's a sci-fi, like they're in space. There's this crazy space battle going on between humans and aliens. And these 2 fighter pilots get in a dogfight and they shoot each other down and they crash on this planet. And they like Dennis Quaid is alive and he goes to like kill the lizard man and finds out that the lizard man is actually like protecting a baby and it has like an egg, and like he starts going like, wait a minute, why are we even at war? It's almost kind of like Ender's Game, where you're not sure about the motivations the enemy, right? So they find this like alliance in keeping each other alive. Just they find humanity in each other. So I use that as inspiration for the quest that was the genesis of Mithrax, the Kell of House Light, So it got all the way like. So to Adder's point, I'm referencing a 1985 movie with Dennis Quaid called Enemy Mine. The code name for that quest in the fucking code, the tag that I put on the files was Enemy Mine. So like that was the big inspiration for this. I wanted the player to have this adversarial relationship with this fallen captain. I did it throughout all the quest steps. It culminates in a moment where the fallen captain, you being a guardian, are way more powerful because you're empowered by the light. You get in there. He has like gotten into this conflict with a hive knight, and like you've destroyed his whole squad and all that. Like you kill all his boys. He's the last guy left. He's like fighting to the death with this knight. And if you kill the knight, he sort of like backs up and like bows to you and just concedes and like teleports out. All of that was because of Enemy Mine. And I referenced that the whole time. So I don't know. That's why it's important. And Adder's totally right. If I had never seen Enemy Mine, I would have never had the idea to make the quest work that way. It would have just not made sense. But because I knew these like narrative pieces, I was like, I'm going to draw on all of that to tell this kind of a story because I really like it. So yeah, it worked really well. Ender's Game, but with more bromance. Yeah, the romance between Dennis Quaid and a lizard person is definitely what that is. Yeah, so I hope I answered the question, Lucian Galaxy. I know it's very long-winded, but we got there. Tony, is it time to hop over to P4?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, all right, let's get it. All right, guys, we're going to give you a nice little tech tutorial and get into how to set up source control for yourself and your personal project. Local version of P4, which is Perforce.
Yeah, and I'm just going to kind of go through this, like, figure it out live a little bit to some extent, so... we're going to learn it together, but I'll put the documents I'm referencing in the chat for you guys too.
Yeah, Lucian Galaxy, if you're getting into game design, consume lots of media. I know that's a crazy thing to say, but like for Dread, for example, I'm not a horror fan, you know, I just am not. But in the lead up to starting this project and figuring out what we were building, I watched a ton of psychological horror, like a lot of it. And I need to get back in there. There's some more things I needed to get into and check out. But I went from like American Psycho to Chapelwaite, and you know, what is it? It's not spiritual, paranormal horror, horror of the mind and the human experience. Meshing all those things together. Yeah, so I mean, lizard bromance for sure, but like it's all different stuff, man. Lots of different kinds of stories. Do yourself a favor, Lucian Galaxy, watch Jim Henson's Storyteller. I know I was kind of like deriding mythological influences, but that's all of what Jim Henson's Storyteller is. Also, Muppet Christmas Carol, banger. It's got Michael Caine in it. It has a giant puppet that goes, "Come in and know me better, man." It's so good. It's so good. That's the Ghost of Christmas Present, I think.
All right, so it looks like having P4V installed before setting this up makes it upset, so I'm uninstalling that. I'm going to set up Perforce on a local Windows machine, and I can go more complex with this if people want me to, but I just wanted to start out with something very easily attainable for anybody that will just give you the ability to back your project up in a way that if you break something, you could roll it back and you have really basic version control. And then we can kind of talk about putting that in the cloud or on a different machine and creating backups of it and stuff from there. But this is just going to be like, again, something that anybody could do for free very easily themselves, even on Windows. You don't need Linux or anything crazy like that. So just got to get this to work.
Oh, Mega Mocap. That is one of the short stories in the anthology that is The King in Yellow. 100%. He sees the specter of death, a man who's lived a a life of sin is in church, and he sees a specter of death like pursuing him repeatedly. It's really good. I can't remember exactly what that short story is called, but yeah. You might also be thinking of The Soldier in Death, which is one of the stories from Jim Henson's Storyteller. And it's a soldier, a Russian soldier who comes home from the war, the Tsar's war, and he has, 3 biscuits, and he shares them with beggars, and they gift him different things. So it's like a nice poetic, metaphor where it's like he has an empty sack, a whistle on his lips, and kindness in his heart, or something like that, and he sets off on his thing, but he ends up like defeating death and becoming the king. But then he realizes defeating death has a price of its own. That's what I like about all of these older stories, is they have morals to them. And when he plays poker with the devils, it's super cool. Those puppets are so fucking good.
All right, so yeah, we are downloading. If anybody's following along, we're downloading P4 Visual Client. We need to install this one first. And I did that, so now I'm getting this one. It pre-selects Linux.
Which one did you have to install first, Tony?
P4 first, and then P4V second.
Got it.
If you have P4V installed already, for some reason, you need to uninstall it before you start. But it's not going to break your existing setup. You can reinstall it, and then everything will come back. So I'm just going through that right now. So I'm going to get P4V, and we also need P4 admin. That's kind of one of the more important ones here, so that we can administrate our server that we just made. All this is the same as what I just set up. So we're just running through this real quick.
Yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, mocap, I bet that there's a lot of Jim Henson's Storyteller influence in the work that you make. I feel like you've got like a decent grasp on like puppetry for animating your 3D models and stuff. I'm recalling the Witch one you did. It's like the Witch True Love thing. I can't remember exactly what it's called. I'm sorry, bro. I really hope I'm not confusing you with someone else. I'm pretty sure that was a video you shared that you made. You did it for like some kind of a contest or something. Yeah, Lucian Galaxy. King in Yellow is a huge inspiration for Dread. So I watched like a 4.5 hour long Wendigoon video that was, going over the major story points of King in Yellow. It was too much to try to read myself in the amount of time I had, so condensing it to 4 hours is easier to consume. But I also watched all of True Detective Season 1, which is also inspired by King in Yellow, even though it's like a crime drama. Really, really good. Okay, it is yours. Oh, thank God. I had this moment of fear going like, shit, am I talking about someone else's work? But yeah, I see like in that short that you made, I see very much like a Jim Henson Storyteller influence in that. And I don't know if you even feel that, but like as I compare those two things, having watched Storyteller recently, I see it there. I hope you take that as a compliment. I don't think that's a negative thing at all. I very much revere Jim Henson. But I also, I was born in the 80s, so Jim Henson is one of the best fucking like artists to ever exist. Yeah, puppets are real good, man. This is the funny thing. When I was watching it, that and Muppet Christmas Carol with my wife over this last 2 weeks, at certain points, I would turn and look at her and I'd go, that's not an actual thing. There's like a person's hand inside of that. And she'd be like, stop! Now I can't see like a person doing this. I was like, Kermit the Frog is literally a sock with someone's hand in it. That's just someone's hand making that face look all weird. And she's like, you're ruining it. Knock it off. Yeah, Muppet Christmas Carol's so good, guys. It's got Rizzo the Rat. Kermit is real? Yes, Queen Anne. I mean, that's testament to Jim Henson. He was so good at delivering full expression from one of the most basic puppets you could possibly imagine in Kermit the Frog. Like, Kermit has a personality. Like, even though it's literally like a sock puppet, he's so fucking good at just giving that life and personality. I don't know how he did that. I think there's a little bit of secret special Jim Henson magic sauce in there that obviously did not carry over when his son took over the business. He really tried, but you could just tell like the soul was missing. He was like emulating. He wasn't giving it his own flavor, or the flavor he was giving it was one that just people didn't like. They didn't want. So as I'm thinking about this, another detail that was really interesting in Muppet Christmas Carol is Kermit's family was like, you know, pigs and frogs because his wife is Miss Piggy. All of the puppets had slightly different color tone ranges. So subconsciously, the viewer is able to be like, oh, that's Tiny Tim, not just because of the crutch and like the way the character acted, but because the tone, like the green felt that made the puppet up, was not the exact same color tone as Kermit. If you guys watch it, you can see that, and there's subtle differences in all the puppets in that way. And I think if you think about that, if you're the puppeteer and you're making this, you might be like, well, we'll just use the same green felt. But if you're an audience member and you're experiencing it, subconsciously you're going, that's a different creature, not that's a different puppet. You're more immersed because of each of those little subtle differences that each of the puppets have, right? So I think that really matters. All those little details add up, and that's good design. You have to think about that. So if you're ever facing a thing of like, no, we could just use the same thing. One of the greatest lessons that I got in art school from a teacher was that our brains are lazy. We all want to take a shortcut, and as a person creating a thing, you might be like, that's an easier task for me to accomplish, but does it benefit the audience? No, not at all. You're making your job easier. And I think this is where I get into the good design, bad design, and why there's bad designers. A lot of bad designers will take the shortcut because it makes their job easier, because they have to do the job, otherwise they lose their paycheck and stuff like that. But all those little details really make the experience different, and you need to care about them. I think that's the most important piece for me. Obsess over every little tiny thing. It's going to piss people off. It's going to be a pain in the ass. People are going to be like, why can't we just turn this blue, you know? Like, and you're like, because it doesn't make sense. Like, color theory and other stuff in context, maybe it clashes with the environment, you know, all kinds of shit like that matters. Okay, so Tony got the client installed.
Yep. So again, I had put this link in the chat. I'm just kind of following along with that. So I just needed to make a new user when I initially got everything set up here, and now we just have to go through and set up some stuff. The Unreal setup is the part that I think this is where it'll start to get confusing to people. So, yeah. So we got P4 admin open here, and I just logged in as the user that I created a second ago. And so P4V, this is kind of like the thing that you use day to day to interact with Perforce as a normal user. And we can talk about that here in a little bit, but I just want to start familiarizing people with some of the parts. So that's the one part. P4 admin here, again, is what you would use to do admin on the server. And there's just a couple of things that you have to do first to make it work right with Unreal. So we're going to do that now. So one of the things that we need to do is... Okay, so a lot of this stuff is more advanced networking things. So I'm going to jump over to this other guide now that goes into here, so that I can paste it to you guys.
I need to be in this mode, so stop getting those.
There's that. Okay, so again, you can jump over to this other guide. This is hosted by Epic Games on the Unreal Engine website, and this just talks about setting up things for the first time. So one of the things that you have to do in Perforce is called a type map. Basically just tells Perforce how to treat Unreal file types. And a lot of this stuff I think you have to do through the terminal, but what I'm gonna do here is we're going to, we got to set the type map. So we're going to follow these commands here. So I'm not positive my terminal is going to work for this out of the box, but we're going to find out.
Tony, while you're doing that, LFQ asked a really good question. I'm not following 100%. What is Perforce? So for those of you who don't know what Perforce is, we've talked about this a little bit. We use terms like source control. What this does is this keeps a working version of all of your code, your whole project. It keeps it stored for you in a way that you can say this last change was bad, undo that last change, and then you have your whole project. So you can, you can work with multiple people at the same time, making updates to the project. But if any one of them breaks it, you can just undo that, and then they can go back and fix it and push it back to the project. It's very similar to GitHub, but Perforce is the industry standard for making video games. And Perforce is integrated into, or it has integration with Unreal. So it just does a lot of stuff really easy for you. Some of you guys might be using Git because that's kind of standard practice for like Unity or Godot or any of those other engines. Perforce is more expensive than Git. You can spin up your own Git repository pretty easily if you're familiar with it. Technically speaking, Git is much more difficult until you learn how to use it to kind of maintain and get used to. However, Git is also really bad at
binary.
And well, I thought it was good at binary. It was bad at
no, it's the files that Unreal makes are compiled binary. So the way that Git works generally is it tracks changes from one version of a file to another, but you can't tell necessarily what's changed in a binary file because it's just a bunch of encoded text. So I've also heard that Perforce handles like art assets and audio assets a lot better than Git. Those are binary as well.
Oh, okay, I got you. All right, that makes sense. All right, sorry.
So basically anything that isn't like text in a code file is binary, and Git is really good at things that are text in a code file, but not at other things. And Perforce has kind of been specially built to handle creating a diff between two binary files. And the reason I got paint up here is we'll just back up for a second here. And I just wanted to kind of explain how this works on a high level. So this box right here would be your Unreal project that you would normally have on your computer, right? And what you're doing is you're effectively creating a clone of that exists in another place. And where this place is could be on your computer, it could be on another computer, it could be in the cloud, so on and so forth. And this is the depot. And basically what you're doing when you do this is that when you make changes to a file, you're pushing a copy of those files when you do the action to the depot. And so this is an exact copy of this at the time that you do that action. If you have a team member, their project here can then do exactly the same thing and copy down the version from the backup to theirs. And then if they make changes of it, they can push it back up. And then this person can pull down those changes and so on and so forth. And obviously with two people working on something, if there's a static mesh or something like that, and Vince wants to edit it and it's in this depot, it will lock it so that another person cannot also edit it at the same time and create a conflict. And then when Vince is done with it and he pushes his new copy of it back up, it will unlock it so somebody else could make a change to it if they wanted to. And that right there, especially in a team setting, is kind of the main reason that you want to use Perforce. But even for a personal project, like Vince was saying, if we just eliminate the other person here, you're going to have, if you were doing this locally, you're going to now have two copies of your project on your computer at all times. But this one, you're not actually working out of, you're working out of this one. And if you ever were to make a mistake, you can always just say, give me the last version of XYZ files that I backed up back on my working version, and not push that mistake change that you made, and effectively just roll it back. And it takes 2 seconds and it works great.
Yeah, and Lucian made a good point. Git is not designed or intended to handle binary merges or super large files. That's why Git LFS exists, but it still can't be used to replace Perforce. Yeah, you can get really, really, really far with Git on a personal project. But as you add team members and people are contributing to the project at the same time, Git gets very messy Perforce does not. It keeps
And
everything
if you're
very clean.
solo or you're like 2 dudes in one project or something, like if anything, Perforce is probably an easier solution if you can just like get through the brain damage of what I'm trying to explain to you guys right now, which like is really scary and difficult, but I'm trying to make a straightforward tutorial here, and maybe we'll edit something down or I can write something up, but just where it starts to become a much more complex conversation, in my opinion, is when you have a team, when you have multiple projects, when you have a lot of files, so on and so forth. Perforce is free, but only up to 5 users and 20 workspaces or something like that, which again, if you were a single person or 2 people, that's
more than
gonna
enough.
be totally fine for you.
Yeah.
But we got to a point where like we have a Perforce user that is a bot that sends notifications to Discord, so that takes another seat, and then if we want to add 2 more people, now we're full, and we have to start making decisions. And every time somebody wants to just like contribute some art or something, the whole shuffle that we have to do, you got to deactivate somebody, people are sharing passwords. So I'm only explaining all of that to say that like that's where people start going back to, maybe we should try to use get LFS, or maybe we should try to use I'm brain blanking the other one that you can use with Unreal that is made by
SVN?
Yeah.
Yep.
Subversion. Yeah. Subversion, I think, is probably an okay alternative. I haven't personally used it. I think Mocap said that he does. So somebody else could probably speak to that a little better than I could. But from what I've seen, Subversion seems like a better option than Git. And Subversion is free and you can self-host. But haven't tried it. Can't really speak to it. So Diversion is what Mocap said he's using. Okay. And I think that is definitely different. But yeah. So I don't want to get into like this whole, if you guys want to talk about why one is better than the other or whatever, we basically had somebody come in to help us and spend like a week looking into all of the options. And because I said, I want to get rid of Perforce, we're running into a bunch of limitations. And after all of the discussion and research, we decided that keeping Perforce was the best option. So just the integration with Unreal and everything that it does is just better, and it works really good. So again, if this is for a solo project, I'm definitely kind of looking at the turning cogs and the booms and the bright sides and stuff. Like, I don't know, this could benefit you guys in ways that I think, wouldn't really put you out at all. And yeah, so.
Yeah, and Adder makes a good point. P4 is still a GOAT, but it's very expensive at scale. What Tony was talking about, when we had, over our user cap limit and all that, we looked into what it would cost. It was like
$100 per user per year.
Yeah, $700 per user per year.
And you're hitting that price point over 5 users. So at a minimum, you're paying $4,300 per year just for your source control.
Yeah. So you need funding if you want to use it at scale. Yeah. But they're workarounds. I mean, we're doing okay, and we're like a 10-person team size at this point. So like
the annual price is like 600 and some change per seat per year, and yeah, you hit that after 5 users.
You don't get those 5 free if you hit the paid model. You pay for the 5 at that point. So if you have 6, you're paying for all 6. You're not getting 5 free and paying for 1.
Yep. Yeah. So Adder's saying his studio is $35,000 a year for P4. You have to start doing math at this point, though, if you're a business like that, to say, you could self-host something like Subversion or a Get LFS thing or something like that, but that might cost you more than $35,000 a year to pay a person to maintain it and to make it do all of the things that you want to do. And like, we haven't even started talking about like Unreal Build Tool and like some of these other add-ons that only work with Perforce that probably make Adder's team's life so much easier than it would be otherwise, and like probably justifies them spending $35,000 a year on this. But yeah.
Queen Anne, it justifies the expense because it's the best tool and AAAs use it, so they have the money to spend. That's why it's so expensive.
And Lucian, we're talking about a license. Yes. So this applies to every possible version of Perforce that you can host, unfortunately. So if anything, doing not self-hosting is just an increased cost. But I will talk about some options for self-hosting in the cloud that we use that costs like $7 a month. And again, if you're trying to get it off of your computer, or you want to have like an off-prem backup, because that's generally a good practice, it's definitely possible for sub $10 a month. It just depends on how big your project is. With cloud, your big blocker generally is going to be storage space. It's very expensive in the cloud. So if you have like a 500 gig project or something, that's probably going to be costing $50 to $100 a month because of how much storage space is required. So that's another reason why you can do this on the same computer you're working on if you have a really big hard drive, or even if you have like an older, crappier computer laying around in your house, you could basically do that. Like what you're seeing right now is me remoted into another computer in my house where I want to build a Perforce server. I'm probably not going to do it in this Windows install right now, but that's ultimately what's going to happen. Is I'm just going to have a local backup in my house for like all of my personal projects, and I think it'll be nice.
Brightside asked unlimited up down. So Tony got into that a little bit, talking about cloud storage. The Perforce licenses don't care about up and down. It's more entitlements for people using
DigitalOcean might care about up and down, but it's pretty reasonable. Like we've never run up against data transfer limits or anything like that. The only thing that we run into is Perforce seats and storage space.
Yep.
Because for a while there, we did have Hyperskate and Miracle Maker, the stream, like coin pusher and lasers and all of that. Both of those were on Perforce, and then when we got to Dread, we were looking at going up to like $60 a month for the server, and Omni is helping us out and has a Perforce at his house that we've been using for that project. And then kind of the longer term goal is again for me to get something going here as well.
No. Brightside, we're not paying for P4. We're paying for cloud storage at $7 a month.
Yeah, we pay $7 a month for.
Wait, I need to clarify. You guys are paying for it because that's what the subs and donations and shit go to. So
and again, I'll show that setup because that is potentially maybe even a little easier to set up than this in certain ways, but it'll look scary to people who don't like Linux or using the terminal and stuff. So we'll get there, but I want to introduce the concepts a little more slowly. So we're still doing this type map thing because we got a little distracted, but I'm just going down this document here that I shared. I literally typed in almost exactly the commands that they gave me just with my username and password. And then now we're going to paste their version of this file in this document. That's all they want us to do. We're going to hit save. We're going to close Notepad. That's all good. And then this is the other thing that you want to do. This is the P4 ignore. And the reason that we do this is because, as I'm sure most of you Unreal people know, your project has folders that are called intermediate and saved and binaries and probably one or two other ones that I'm not thinking of right now, but those are files that are generated or derived from your project by Visual Studio or by your computer generally, but they don't necessarily need to be synced to your Perforce, and in some cases probably shouldn't be synced to your Perforce because those should be generated by each user's Unreal Engine install in the way that they have it set up. So you'll set up this ignore file so that it pushes all of the critical stuff that everybody needs for the project to run. And then generally when somebody runs it the first time, their engine's going to have to, compile the shaders and potentially build the C++ files if that's a thing in your project. And this file right here is preventing you from pushing all of that stuff up. Because I don't know if you've looked at your intermediate and saved folders before, but they're going to be like 95% of the space that your project is taking up on your hard drive. And you can take like a 25 gig project on your hard drive and you only need to sync up like 2 gigs. And that's obviously going to save you a lot of storage space and money and time.
There's a little bit of confusion in chat about costs. If you are self-hosting, which is what Tony is showing you guys how to do, there is no cost. If you're under 5 users,
yes,
there is no cost.
No cost aside from hardware and things that hopefully you already have and time. Yep.
Yeah. So this is a really good solution. This is what we use. And that's why I tell you guys the subs go to operations costs for the business. We pay for DigitalOcean. We pay for, licenses for different software and stuff like that. And we keep everything very austere. Like we can't pay ourselves. We can't pay team members, but we pay for the stuff we need to function as a business. That's what operations costs are. And we use the money from the streams to do that. So because of LFQ's generosity, I mean, we're good to go at our current scale for like several years. So we're going to have to keep growing and get bigger. But yeah, don't worry about that. You guys have been amazing for that, because normally it was coming out of our pockets. We were just paying for it ourselves. So this makes it way more sustainable, because now we can eat food, you know. we can pay our cost of living bills and stuff like that because you guys are helping us, you know, run the business. So it's good. It's very good.
So I'm just going to make a project here to give us something to sync up. I think we're just going to do a blank one because it'll have fewer files in it. Blueprint desktop maximum, put it in there. This is perforce test. And this will be a good explanation of it. The beginning of setting up a perforce project, I think, is very confusing. And that's where most people just go like, I'm not going to do this. And I understand because I have done it a lot of times myself. So we have made an Unreal Engine project now. This is ultimately what I'm hoping to back up to Perforce ultimately. So we're just going to wait for it to get done. And the reason that I'm doing this too is because this ignore file that we're talking about, we could set it up on the server side or we can set it up in the project. You can use a combination of both. You can have your server side where that's the default ignore. You're never ever going to be able to push those files regardless of any other configuration. And then you can use a project-based ignore file on top of that to add extra stuff if you want to. So I'm only going to set up a project one right now, which is totally fine. Just using this file that Epic provides here. And since we made that project now, we can go into our Unreal Engine projects and go to Perforce tests. And I'm going to make a new file in here. And it's going to be called .p4 ignore. And then we're going to open that notepad and paste the Epic Games content in there and then close that. And then that should be good to go there. Unreal is compiling, but we have some other stuff that we can do now. So I should have kept my paint diagram up here, but let me just remake my boxes. So we have our project. That's what I was just making. And then we're going to have a depot. We haven't made the depot yet. But these are the things that... What does this refer to? This is the workspace. So
yeah, workspace.
Yep. We got to try to use the right word. So you're going to have a workspace and a depot. The depot is the master version of the project. You don't actually ever open the files in there. They're just your backup. The workspace is your working version of the project. And the workspace is actually kind of different from this project that I just made here. And I'm going to explain why here in a second. So while that's working, we're going to go into P4 admin here, and we're going to go to depots on this one.
Also, just for your guys' clarification, if you've ever heard the turn of phrase DevOps, this is DevOps. This is like what that discipline does, is they'll set up all this shit so that people who are designers or content authors or artists, they can just not have to worry about this piece. So yeah, Tony does the DevOps, which is very useful.
Yeah, I'm trying to... I think I have like a permissions issue or something. I need to be able to click here, and I think I need to add myself to a group. Trying to remember here. Let's see.
Acid Hex says the back end boys. Yeah, true.
Okay, so let's go and double check what this guide says here.
Yeah, that's true, Adder. Build engineers always cleaning up people's shit on a holiday. Yeah, man. They really are the unsung heroes. Some of the guys that I talked with the most when I was working at Bungie were like the IT guys and the DevOps guys, because I had a whole ass career in IT networking before I got into making video games. So like we could speak the same language and stuff. It was nice. And they like talking to a designer because they were passionate about Destiny. And so I would be like, I know what you guys do. And they're like, that's crazy. How do you know? You're a designer. But yeah, bright side, if you set up P4, I know you're really deep on Git already and you're very comfy with it. It might be worth just looking into this for your own sanity, because then you'll start to find that you don't have to do a lot of the crazy shit that you have to do with Git. It'll just work and it'll be great. It's a headache to get it started. It's a headache to get used to a new tool. But when you're in there and it's working, it just fucking works. And it's great. Yeah, no worries, Queen Anne. Thank you. Good luck with your playtest.
Okay, here we go. So I had to rejoin, and now I have super admin permissions. That was the problem. So now that I've done that, we can go to depots. We have depot. So what we need to do is we need to do new depot here. And I don't think I want it inside that one, but I just want to. There should be a new depot button here somewhere.
Yeah, same LFQ. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I became friends with the InfoSec guy, so the guy that did all like the data security and all that at the company. He was very skeptical. I met him at like a happy hour at Bungie, and I was like, "Yeah, I used to work at level 3," and he's like, "Oh, really?" And he started like quizzing me on networking things, and I like knew all these answers. He's like, "Oh shit, you're like actually a real guy. How the fuck are you a designer? Why don't you just do that job?" And I was like, "Because I want to make video games, bro."
That
And then we became good friends. Yeah.
Okay, we're making a depot. The depot is called Fractal. It's a stream depot. That's kind of the way that it's done now. We don't really use the streams for anything too crazy, but worth setting it up that way. So now that I've done that, you'll see we have a depot here now. The depot is the thing where the files will go. Within the depot, you could have multiple versions of the same project. You can have different streams, which are like branches if you know Git. Again, we don't really go too deep on a lot of that stuff because of some of the limitations of Unreal and the binary files, but it is definitely something that people can use. And yeah, but so now that we've made this depot, that is to some extent kind of all that I really need to do right now. So I can go out of admin and go back to P4V, which is kind of just my normal user interface that I would always use for connecting to Perforce. I'm going to refresh. Now we have this Fractal depot that we made. So we have the depot. The depot is where the files go. It doesn't necessarily have to be on our computer, but it is in this case. It could be in the cloud. That's where normally we put ours. And now we need to make a workspace. And a workspace is the version on our local machine with the project in it that we work off of in Unreal. So if you have a laptop and a desktop, for example, you can have multiple workspaces that are associated with your user, and one is on your desktop and one is on your laptop. And that is another reason that it might be good to have Perforce, and that's one of the reasons that I'm setting this up. But
that's what I've got.
The depot stays in the same spot, and then the workspaces connect to it and create copies of it, basically. So
yeah, I have workspaces for my laptop and workspaces for my desktop.
And so now that, so if you ever are looking for tabs in here, if you hit this plus, it'll give you all the options for the tabs, and it's good to have workspaces.
Yeah, you need that.
Like that. So now that I've done that, I think, we actually need to make a stream too. So that's the other thing. So we're going to go to streams. We don't have any streams yet. So I need to hit new stream. And the stream name we always go with is main. I think that's generally what people call them. Make it lowercase just in case it matters. Stream type, mainline. I think this, I don't really ever touch anything in here. I just know that you have to make a stream. Once that's done, we don't have anything yet. So I'm just going to hit cancel. But now I can go to my workspace, which is going to be my local version of the project, and I can right click down here and okay, I made a workspace when we were clicking. So let's edit recent edit workspace here.
Hey, what's up, dopeness? Happy New Year. Sorry, we're deep on a technical thing for setting up source control for an Unreal project.
So it does look like it set it up right for me, but we just want to make sure again that the workspace is pointed at the main stream that we made. So you can name these streams whatever you want. It had named it this automatically for me, but a lot of the time we'll just name it username and then like computer name or something like that. So that's all good to go now. So now over here in the workspace tab, we can see we have my workspace selected, and the workspace is, as far as you're concerned, just a folder on your computer. And so if we go, and I can just right click here in Perforce and go to looking for like show in Explorer, other files and folder. I don't know. I remember where I put it. So we're going in here. It always puts it in the root of your user in the Perforce folder.
Yeah, I find that's a little annoying with multiple storage solutions. You might want to change that path yourself, but by default, it'll be under the Windows.
You can change it, but that's just where it's going to put it. Yeah. So It actually looks like maybe it made this Perforce depot. Oh, so this is where the depot itself is now. And so you can see here that this one, Tony Benelli main, is what we're looking for here. So that's not here.
Lucian, do it. Do it. Learn P4. It's very good.
Yep. And I know this is a little disjointed, and again, I intentionally am kind of trying to figure it out as we go here. But if you guys want help, or you want to, a better walkthrough than this or whatever, I'm happy to, talk to you on Discord or anything. So
you're doing great, Tony. Don't shit on yourself. You're doing great. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I don't think this folder actually exists, even though it says it should. So what we need to do is Perforce Tony, and can we copy this or something? We just want to make sure that this folder actually exists in our file structure, and then we got to move all the files into it. So no, all right. I was looking for somebody to copy that. So this is the folder that it's expecting to be here. So we're going to make a new folder with that name. We're going to hit enter, and then what we're going to do now is we made this Unreal project, which is open. We're going to close it. We're going to go to it in the file structure here, Perforce test, and we're going to take the contents of the folder, not the folder itself, so just the stuff inside of it, including that p4 ignore file. I'm just going to cut it. You can make a copy of it if you're worried about messing something up. Just copy it over, leave this one alone, make sure it's working good before you clean anything up or delete. But then we're going to go over to, we're in that folder that we just made here. We're going to paste. All that's going to show up. Now, if we go back over here, we have our workspace, and our workspace is selected. If you have multiple workspaces, you can change them there. So generally, when we're working on Hyperskate, Miracle Maker, and Dread, that's how I swap between them. If I hit refresh now, you'll see we have files in the project. And so the main thing that we need to do now is push these into the depot. And we know that they're not in the depot because we can click on the depot here. There's nothing in there. And so what we can do is, if we go over here, I'm going to start with one file just so we keep this small. I can hit this add button here. I can right click here and hit mark for add. And that is going to tell Perforce that we want to add that file to a change list. Generally, the default one is going to be fine. And then in this pending tab here, we can see that we have a change list. And in the change list, we have this file that we just added. And you can see it has a plus on it. And now if I submit, you can see the files checked. I could uncheck files that I have in the change list if I don't want to submit them. But then I can say U project file. You should give it a description if you, add a new feature to your game or something. And then I hit submit, and we got one file added. And now if we look at the depot, there's that file. And so we have a backup of that file now. If we ever messed with that file locally and wanted to revert it, you could go in here and do, what's it called? It probably has to be checked out, right? Yeah.
Sorry, I was reading adder stuff. We were talking about UGS. What were you doing specifically?
I was just talking about, like, if you messed up this file that I just checked in and you wanted to undo your changes. Yeah. So revert. now that I can just hit revert, and now it's back to the last time that I checked it in. So, anyways, we're going to go through and, we want the whole content folder to be backed up, right? So I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to do mark for add. And it's going to ask me what change list. I'm going to say okay. And there's going to be a lot of stuff in that content folder. So it's probably going to take a minute.
I did plenty of yapping LFQ. This is good. This is technical stuff that people want.
Nothing in the content folder?
Adder, UGS is like another layer of complexity. It's definitely very useful, and you're correct. We haven't set up UGS yet, but it's
UGS
something that we've talked about for a while.
Yeah, pretty scary.
I've used UGS. We used it at free range, so yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with it. It was nice.
I think I just broke this project, probably. Nice.
Adder says it's called undo changes now. If it's checked in, it used to be called rollback, and the UI still says rollback after you select the option.
Okay, so everything is gone from here, but then if we go to the Perforce one, there's nothing in here. What the fuck? Okay, well, I have to make a new project real quick to actually show this. That's so strange. Okay, well, this is what happens when you do it live.
Yeah, that's true, Adder. Command line only P4 is definitely scary.
Yeah, I tend to prefer the command line in a lot of cases, but with Perforce, I kind of stay away from it, honestly, because
you can get yourself in a lot of trouble and permanently break shit doing that. Powered get users with console only is wild shit. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do another. I guess it was a blank project. Maybe there is nothing in it. Maybe that was right. Okay.
Wait, that's what Odd Oculus is doing, Adder? Yeah, he is a madman. That's crazy.
I mean, I've met lots of people in my dev career, as I'm sure you have too, Adder, where they will not use a GUI tool if the command line exists for literally anything. I know people who like read Reddit in their terminal.
Holy shit, he speed types a whole project, submits and saves. Wild. Yeah, that's a wild man right there.
Okay, so just so we have some content in here to make things a little more make sense. So I'm gonna just make a level here, save current level. We're just gonna say right in the content as Perforce level. And we'll go ahead and add a
my drawing, that's hilarious.
Let's do a blueprint pawn just for fun. And I'm not even gonna like do anything to it. We're just gonna put it in like that. Okay, so now that these things exist, we can talk about Unreal here for a second. So you got a revision control here in the bottom right. Connect your revision control. Perforce, you're going to put in the credentials that you created before, and then you need to pick your workspace. This available workspaces dropdown is a nice litmus test of if your credentials are typed in correctly, because you will not see anything here if they're not. So it's good to open that dropdown just to see if everything's lining up. Once that's accepted, do that, hit accept. You'll have a little green check here now. That's good. So now I can do a lot of the stuff I was doing in P4 from the content browser here in Unreal, and you'll see now we have question marks on these. And if you hover them, it says the files are not present in the Perforce depot. And if we think about our terminology, the depot is the remote thing, the backup. It's not the workspace, which is what we're in right now. And so from Unreal, what I can do now is I can right click on these, and we have a revision control option here, and we can do mark for add. And now it has a plus. And if you remember when we added that U project file earlier, that had a plus until I submitted it. And so P4 doesn't update automatically, but I can verify that my changes are in here. If I just hit refresh, there's that pawn that I just added here in my default change list. And so we should go through and do the level as well real quick. That's all good. You don't have to do anything else here in Unreal when you see these. And then I do all of my Perforce stuff outside of what I just showed you really from P4. I think there's ways to do it from the engine. I don't do it that way, so I'm not going to show it to you guys that way. I think it's maybe a little better to understand the tool, you know, this deep down. But anyways, so we're going to refresh again. There's that other file we got. And again, just to reinforce, here's our depot. This is the backup, and it only has the U project in it right now. These files are still in our change list and haven't been submitted. So if we click on the change list and hit submit, and you know, I'm going to say level and pawn. We're going to hit submit. New files added. Now we're on the depot. We refresh. There's a content folder. There's our things. And so that's kind of the majority of backing up your project and what that looks like. So again, we created our depot, and then we created a workspace associated with that depot that created a folder on our computer. We copied our Unreal Engine project into there. And then from that point forward, we can start submitting files. If I had a big project that I've been working on for a while and I wanted to do this now, and you just copy all those files over, they would all show up here in the workspace. And to some extent, you can kind of, Control A and do mark for add. And assuming that your P4 ignore is set up right, it's not going to add anything from the files that you told it not to. And that's kind of all you should have to do. And then you're going to have this change list of thousands of files in it, and you're going to hit submit, and then you're going to be good to go. And now when I have this stuff checked in, I think I submitted it. This probably just needs to refresh, but you'll see that this is what will happen sometimes. Is that just like the two are fairly good at communicating, but one has to kind of catch up to the other a lot of the time. So anyways, now that I have this level made, let's put the pawn in it. That's going to cause the level to change. And when I hit save, now I'm going to be prompted with this. And if you're solo, this is something that isn't going to matter a ton to you, but it is worth understanding. If you're on a team, this is the reason you use Perforce right here. So when I try to save this level that I've changed, apparently nobody has this level checked out, and it just is unchanged in the depot. When I hit checkout now, you'll see that we get this green check. And that means that I have this level checked out and nobody else can edit it. And if we go into P4 right now and we look at the depot, we can see there's a check mark on this. And that means that it's checked out right now. I can see in my change list that it is in the change list. Once it's checked out, you need to submit your change list or revert it for it to not be checked out for other people anymore. So that's why it exists in the change list now. And so when I'm ready, I can submit that. I can say, add a pawn to level. And we can hit submit. And then now it's not going to have the check anymore. Again, Unreal doesn't update automatically, but in P4, we can see that it's not in the change list and that pawn would be in that level. And then this is where I'm not positive how well this will work if I have the engine open, but we're going to try it. So pawn's in there in version 2 of the level. Let's say that I made some change like that I didn't like, and I want to go back to V1. What you can do now is I can go into history right here, and I can go to this level file. You can see that's what I got selected here, and you can see iteration 1 and iteration 2. And I can see what the notes are on each of them and so on. And so I want to undo this. So I can click on this version of it and I can do get this revision. Now that file is at that revision. And if I open it again, that pawn's not in the level anymore. And so now we have like a weird edited checked out version of the file. I guess it's not even technically checked out, but what I can do is I can check it out now. Because you could roll it back like I just did, just like look at it, and that's not going to check it out or anything. But if I want to save those changes for everybody now, I can check it out, and then it's going to say I don't have the latest, and that's intentional in this case because I'm trying to roll something back. I can say don't get latest, and then I could submit this, and we could say roll back actor, and it's telling me don't do this. You're going to overwrite it. I'm doing it intentionally in this case, but this is to stop you from, if somebody else pushed a change and now you're going to override their change or something like that. So now that I've done that, is it not letting me do it? This will not overwrite. So this is where like there's probably some Perforce thing that I need to do to actually allow me to do this. I generally will have to look something up like this, but the idea here is that was kind of how you would want to be able to do that. So maybe if I hit save here, I don't know if that would count as a new change.
It would, yeah. Version 3 would be the rolled back one.
Yeah, but what it wants me to do is it knows that I'm rolled back and it wants me to get the most recent version and then change it from there. There's probably a different Perforce way to like apply those changes on top of it or something.
Yeah, you diff it and you say keep new instead of go back to the old. Because going back to the old would be the one with the pawn. Keep new would be the one without the pawn.
But so now I can do get latest revision. That will make it happier. But now I have a commit issue and I need to resolve it. And so now there's a question mark on here, and I need to
resolve conflict.
Resolve. Yep. And
this is where you choose.
Yeah, and since it's a binary file, I think it's gonna maybe tell me like you just need to pick one between old and new or something like that. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. I keep hitting
Tony,
resolve and nothing happens, but
Tony, I wanted to mention Lucian Galaxy asked a good question that we kind of ran into on like Hyperskate and stuff. So what happens when we're working on an open world game?
Talk about
world
that.
positioning? Yeah, we've run into that. Don't worry.
Well, but it's actually better now, and Adder will be happy that we're going to talk about OFPA. So, yeah.
Oh, he just did one file per actor.
There you
Let's go.
So, I don't even know what's wrong with this right now. It's not letting me resolve it, but we're gonna. I got that kind of broken. That's something that would need to be fixed. But
do diff files. It's one of the diffs. Fuck, I haven't done this in a long time. But you diff it, and that's where you choose.
Yeah, but this is where like these are binary files, so that the diff is like not possible. It might make this very upset that I hit yes on that actually, but
no, it'll resolve and tell you whether or not you can do what you're doing.
Okay. Anyways, we're just gonna move on from that. I can talk about world partition. So if I do an empty, or I'll just do this open world pre-made one because that'll have some stuff in it. So in an open world level, you get these. We got to save this first. So save current level. This is going to be
Tony, I want to throw this out there. The thing Tony did was someone doing bad shit. That's not, you don't want to do that. And typically you would want your P4 admin to get in there and do it. If you're a solo dev, you're not going to run into this situation. You just won't. You'll know what you did. You'll know how to undo what you did. You know how to pull a...
I think I pulled the change back down the wrong way. It would, but for the most part, that's basically what you would do. But anyway, so this is an open world level, of course. One of the things that you get with an open world level, it doesn't actually show in the content browser, but if I go into the files here and we go into content, you get external actors and external objects. And this is the one file per actor that's happening with open world. And it's going to create a ton of files. Like there's no way around that, but it allows you to, you know, like if I want to put my pawn in here now, right? There's the pawn. And if we hit save, you can see every item in this open world has a perforce symbol next to it. And in a normal level, you're not going to get that. And that's because all of these are files and these have all been added to perforce automatically when we created that. So if we go over to P4V here and we look at our change list, I'm going to refresh. You can see our change list now has a ton of shit in it. And you can hit submit at the top, and I tend to look at it in this window here. But we're going to uncheck that one that it's mad about. If it is checked, it looks like it's not. Cool. And so we can check this in, and this is open world. And I'll get to my point about this here in a second. But so yeah, now we have the pawn in here, and I'm going to go back to my other level. And then we're going to go back to that level again. And the reason I'm doing this is to show you, it still didn't update these as added or whatever, but what will happen is if we take this pawn that we added and we try to move it, now it's been edited technically. So if I hit save on the level, I'm not checking the level out. I'm checking out the external actor for the pawn. And that's really good because if you're working in a team and you have a huge open world level, and somebody had to check out that entire level every time they wanted to change one thing, that would be really annoying. And Vince and I have definitely run into that with Hyperskate until we set this up. But the idea here is just that, like, if Vince needs to work on this area over here and somebody else is working on that one over there, they can check out their individual parts, and the overall level itself only gets checked out if you change like world settings or something that like globally affects the whole level. But otherwise, now you can see just my pawn is checked out, and if this would update in real time, it would show that these are all just like synced and good to go. And you know, that's how that would work. And then again with the OFPA, like now I have the ability to just roll back that pawn and not change anything else, and nothing else even really cares. So yeah.
What's up, Sushi Fu? Sorry, we didn't say hello. We're just kind of deep in like this tech explanation of how to set up Perforce on a local machine.
There's a question that says, does OFPA increase total file size by much. I would imagine it's definitely increasing file size and volume by some amount, but a lot of them are, it's like a reference file for each thing. So I think you're only probably adding, at most a couple kilobytes per object. I mean, you have a million objects in your giant open world, which is totally realistic. That is probably going to equal several gigs of metadata and config files and stuff. But yeah.
My drawing says, y'all use actors. Everything's super easy when it's all procedurally generated. All right, my drawing.
Yep.
Brightside asks, Dread Dev made any new big improvements or has it mostly been getting your PC set up? So we took a break in December, but we've got some new features coming in that I was reviewing earlier today before stream. So we've got some like opening sequence slides and stuff like that for narrative delivery so that it doesn't just launch you straight into the game with nothing. So like think like title cards and stuff like that. If you're considering a movie, sometimes they do like a little bit of text on the screen to give you some setting for the scene you're about to go into. So we've got some of that coming in. But yeah, we've been chilling for December. We did a major tech overhaul for like level structure and stuff like that. So yeah, it's not super flashy, interesting things to show yet, but we're getting back into it this week and we're getting in there.
And just to show, I guess, kind of the undo workflow I was trying to do earlier, but this would be before I checked it in, and we're just going to use moving this actor from kind of the middle over to here. And so it's currently checked out. So these changes are local. I'm just going to go to a different level real quick. I'm going to open P4V and I'm going to refresh so that change shows up. This is they just look like nonsense here, so you got to know that, but that's the one that relates to the actor or the pawn in there. So but now I want to undo this change without ever sending it up to the depot. I can right click on it and hit revert. It's just going to ask me, do you want to do this? And I'm going to say yes. If you created a new file and then you don't want it created anymore and you revert it, it'll ask you if you want to delete it, and you can say yes in that case if it doesn't need to exist. So that's handy. But so now I reverted that. If we go back in here and we go back to our level now, if this worked, the dude should be in the middle of the landscape again. Boom. So I don't tend to revert from the backup too much. We've definitely done it once or twice before. But I guess the idea tends to be that we make sure that local change is feeling real good before we push it up, and you have the ability to kind of undo things up into that point. And I mean, that alone is going to save your ass so many times if you just like, there's the times you get really far down a rabbit hole and break your entire project and you're like, shit, I don't even know if I can get it back anymore. Like now you can literally just hit one button and everything that you did goes away, assuming that you had a good stopping point before.
Perforce does have an alternative, which can get really messy without a good P4 admin and like a build engineer like Adder was talking about. You can shelf files, which means that you've committed a file to the depot, but it's not in the main project. It's like a little sub branch.
A variant of it that exists alongside the main backup. Yeah.
That, like I said, that can get messy. But if you have someone who's like, man, I can't figure this out, I need to send this over to someone else, they can submit a shelved file and the other person can pull that shelf down, which overwrites their local version to that one. And then they can like fuck with that. And if they get it to a working place and send it back to the other person, they can then pull down latest from the depot and blow away the shelf file to be on current.
So you could have like this person shelf a file, which is like here, so it's not in the actual code base yet. And then this person can pull it and it becomes their version of that file in their local. And if they're happy with it or whatever and they get it working, then they can push their local version back to the depot, and now it's in here. This goes away. And we'll do that with certain things sometimes, but the only downside to that workflow that we've run into a bunch of times is that like while you're in this state, this person could not pull that shelf and change that file differently and then push it up, and then now this is conflicted and it doesn't work anymore. And you kind of like erase that person's work. I've done that to Eric like 2 or 3 times and I always feel really bad about it, but we've kind of learned like once you shelf it, it's not checked out anymore, and the checkout is what's protecting it from other people editing it. And so it's just like a thing with working in a team that I think you just got to be aware of. And
yeah, if you're solo, the shelving is not going to be something you'll ever do. You'll mostly be reverting stuff, or
you could maybe
like
shelf if you wanted to like
versions.
make a variant of something to see and then like try another thing, and
Yep.
then you're gonna have to pick one to merge though, and you're not gonna be able to like bring them together. That's if you work a lot in like text code with Git, you could have 100 branches of the same text file and make like little individual changes to them, and like ultimately through the Git process you could bring them all together pretty easily and it would work fine. You just can't do that with anything that is not C++ files in Unreal, basically. So that's one reason why some people really prefer C++, just aside from all of the other like performance benefits or whatever, is just that the source control for them is a lot more straightforward, and you can do diffs and merging and conflicts and all the things that you can't do with blueprints or levels or U projects are technically text. So there's certain ones that are okay, but yeah.
Yeah, Acid, you could totally do that. It would be an interesting way to do it. Like I said, it could get messy, but yeah, you could do that. You could be like, here's this version, and this version, and then you could review them all in engine, in your viewport and all that, in your whatever you're doing in Unreal, and then be like, okay, this is the one I want, and then you commit that one to the depot. You'll still have those shelf files, and you'll have to get rid of those shelves for project health and sanity, or I guess depot health and sanity. But
yep,
yeah.
All right, and then I'm gonna try to show this without completely doxing us, but whatever. We're over time, so I'm gonna try to go quick here. But this is where we generally are hosting a cloud Perforce server. Is on DigitalOcean. It's very inexpensive. You can see our total cost for the month right now is $4. We have 2 servers for Perforce as well as for the Grove Tender bot, and that's our cost. So pick from that what you will. What you can do here, I gotta remember how to find it, but if I just go like DigitalOcean Perforce Droplet, what they have is they have a pre-made setup where you can just kind of click one button, and at least the server side, like the Linux configuration and stuff, basically just gets completely handled for you. And that's always the way that I do this. Is I think you just probably hit this button right here, and then yeah, you'll see it's going to do something here. Yeah, so it's going to ask me where I want to put it and ask me to pick some stuff about it. But this is going to come with Perforce pre-installed and pre-configured on it, and it will allow you to kind of just start from this using Perforce source control guide and just kind of go through their setup steps, and it tends to work pretty well. So when you're looking at these things, again, you can pick down here in the very inexpensive tiers, just depending on a lot of the limitation is going to be the storage size. So just depending on how big your project is, you can see how the cost goes up, mostly just with the storage increase.
Tony, Lucian was asking, is it just me or does it feel like we nickel and dime artists compared to other developers? It's a bit frustrating. I want to know like context. What do you mean in that situation? Do you mean like for the work they complete, or?
Yeah, I'm curious about like how like a lot of this is because of art to some extent. Like even if you hand coded your engine or something, you're still going to run into the same issue with source control, with 3D models and textures and stuff like that. So I can see from that perspective, we were just talking about how Creative Cloud is like the biggest ripoff in the history of software. I just think like, what does like Maya or something like that cost per year? It's obscene, $1,400, something like that, I think, for one license.
Yep.
Developers, like every tool I use is free or fairly inexpensive, and I almost don't pay for anything these days. But a lot of the time, maybe you're paying for like a C++ IDE or something if you're really hardcore dev there. But yeah.
Kitchen tax is how they tip out their kitchen. Hopefully, Brightside. It might also
make you pay their kitchen for them.
Yeah, it might just be a way that they just get more money out of you at the end of the meal. So I don't know. That shit's whack. But yeah, Lucian, I wanted to know exactly what you meant about nickel and diming artists. But yeah, I think Tony probably covered it pretty well. I think he made a good point. A lot of the tools are just free for a developer, or very cheap and reasonable. But for artists, yeah, like Maya licenses and stuff are crazy. If we're talking Adobe Creative Cloud, bro, yeah, all kinds of shit like that is kind of crazy. Digital tools for artists are very expensive.
So I won't dig into the specifics of all of this too deeply, but I am more than happy to help literally anybody set this up. I will jump on a call with you. You can message me on Discord. Nobody ever takes me up on this, but I will not be annoyed. I will be very happy if somebody reaches out and asks me to help them. So, you know, please don't feel weird or awkward or like I'm not going to want to help you and I'm just being nice. Like it makes me extremely happy anytime anybody reaches out. You know, Brightside asks me about some weird problem he's having or anything like that. So I feel like a Perforce advocate these days, and I think it would just really change some of your lives. So if I can help you get this set up, please let me know. You absolutely should consider just self-hosting on your machine that you're working on if you have the storage space. If you have another computer laying around in your house that you don't really use, that's just kind of sitting there on all the time, you could set it up on there very easily, where I will teach you how to put it on DigitalOcean. And it looks like at a minimum, you're probably going to be paying $12 a month for 50 gigs of storage. And, you know, we could talk about other options from there if you ever need them. But on top of everything else, the last thing I want to say about this is a job skill. And if you want to be a game developer, you need to go into a studio knowing how to use Perforce. They will not hire you if you don't.
Very true.
If anything, you should learn it for that reason. You should be able to go into a job interview at a studio and go, yep, I know how to use Perforce. Give me the credentials. Let me get in there. Because there have been many times where Vince's friends from the game industry have come through to give us a hand, and I hand them the credentials and they don't even message me again because they just know what to do. That's so nice. So, yep.
What was
and if you guys are trying to do Linux things or set it up in the cloud or do it probably a little more professionally, then I would teach you how to do it. Omni is very knowledgeable at all of those things. He set ours up and it's been a lot better than anything that I've set up myself. And he generally just knows about all of that stuff a lot better. So ping us in the Discord server. Lots of people in there are going to be happy to help you guys.
Yeah, and that's another thing. We've been saying this, you know, since like day one. So for like, you know, going on 3 years now, we've been saying we will help you guys. There's very few people that actually ask for help. Brightside has asked several times. Hopefully we've helped him a lot. Things beyond how to enable dark mode. Turning Cog hit me up recently. I talked him through a bunch of design problems he was having. Queen Anne has come through, asked for some design feedback. That was great. Tony, I know you've helped Turning Cog with some tech stuff too, but it's like 3 people. So, you know, we know there's a lot more than 3 out there who need some help. And I know that, like, even talking with Turning Cog, you know, he's not here, so he can't like defend himself or talk about it. But I know that he was like shy and he was feeling self-conscious about it. That's the point of the stream. That's what we are doing this for. We understand it's really hard. We didn't get here on our own. We had help. A lot of people have given us advice. That's an open offer. Like, you guys are members of this community. Come talk to us.
You know, we have our own selfish reasons. Like, we're helping you guys so that hopefully you'll help us someday. But like,
exactly,
you know, we want to create a symbiotic relationship here, and like, I'm not actually really hoping to get anything out of it either. You know, after saying that, it's like I just really like doing what we do, and the more people that want to nerd out about it and talk about it constantly with me, like, the better. I'm happy about that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and being honest, you know, it can sometimes feel a little weird. I'm like, am I giving away the magic for free? But like, who the fuck cares? You know, it's very
Ideas are like assholes, man.
What's that?
Ideas are like assholes.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. It'll be okay. I'm confident in the ability to execute on an idea more than, you know, I don't think the idea itself is the important piece. Yeah, that's nice of you, Omni, to offer to help. Let's see. Chat slowed down a bit, so I think you guys are probably at your time limit. I know some people popped to go get lunch and whatnot. Yeah, there is actually power in a community for sure. Nobody likes an elitist gatekeeper. So my drawing, one of the big reasons for inspiration, I was like, this is the value that we can give to the community, is when I was starting out trying to learn how to make games, it was only gatekeepers. And I know that a big part of the industry is still that. There's like, people don't want to tell you about a skill they have unless they can monetize it in some way. And there are a lot of people inside the industry that are like, that's stupid, you should never do that. And I'm like, it's not stupid though, especially if you're starting your own business. Sure, if you're like already successful and you want to do it like philanthropically, cool, go for it. But I don't know. It's I think it's kind of a weird mentality. Like it's especially true among artists, and I understand why, because that's a little bit of the secret sauce. Especially if you're like a VFX artist, you really don't want to tell people how you did shit, and you want to hold that like close to your chest because you could sell that as tutorials or whatever. You can make money off of it. And at the end of the day, we all have to make money, right? Like we have to. This the society we live in is based on it. So yeah, if we could do it all for free, we would. And that's essentially what we're doing. We just, we hope that you guys subscribe to the channel, you support us, you buy our games when they come out, all that stuff. So that's the whole relationship we're trying to build here. Lucian wrote a big thing. I want to read that. Feels like every single time I'm looking at artistic software, it's $1 billion in licenses. In the world of software devs, everything is based on OSS. I'm in the club of I refuse to pay a subscription. We'll put the work into using a free alternative. While art tools have this paywall, I can understand it to a point. Yes, art 3D code is hard, and those people need to be paid, but maybe billing the artists themselves is not the way. So, Lucian, what you're talking about is the conflict between big business and independent artists, or an independent, someone who's like a hobbyist or trying to become a professional or do something on their own. The reason those big paywalls are there is because big companies have a lot of money. And so they're like, this is the best tool. We got to buy it. And they're like, well, if you want it, it's going to cost you. So that's why. It's because you have a company with a budget of, $300 million. They can go buy some licenses for their team. And a couple thousand for a license per year is not that much for them out of the whole war chest they have to build a product. So that's probably why it exists that way. I would say maybe capitalism, because they have a captive audience for who's buying these licenses, and it does not include small people. It doesn't include the individual who's making their own thing. So oftentimes I want to say the older loophole was like you get a student version or a free version. This is one of the reasons we like Unreal so much. Unreal is free until you make something that's making money. And then when it makes money over a certain threshold, then you got to go pay
$1 million too. So you have to be like doing pretty good. But
that's a great value proposition.
It's similar to like old Adobe, like kind of blatantly let people pirate their software because they knew that all of the high school millennials that were getting really good at Photoshop were going to want to use it in their careers, and then they would like roll out this cloud model and entice all of the businesses to pay for it, and it worked really well. And Unreal's trying to do a similar thing for sure, where just give it to everybody for free and then make the people who are actually making money with it give you money.
Well, bright side, thankfully, like cloud hosting is not $35K a year. It's way cheaper than that because there's so many people who need cloud hosting for all kinds of different types of data and different businesses.
Okay, so when you're looking at Adder's company paying $35K for Perforce, it is a math problem of paying $35K for Perforce costs less money than what the alternative would be in terms of time, in terms of support, in terms of loss of features, in terms of maybe loss of talent because people would want to go somewhere that uses better tools. Like it all becomes basically a math problem, and they wouldn't do it if it wasn't worth it. And he said himself that it was absolutely worth it, and it's 90% of their spend. That's crazy to me. I had no idea.
Yep. Bright side. So that's the subscription model for Unreal is an interesting question because Unreal was a subscription model for a long time and Unity was not. The exact moment Unity was like, here's a subscription model, Unreal went, we're free now. So they flipped each other. So that's
if you use Unreal for not games, I believe you have to pay a licensing fee now. And if you use it for games, it's only over $1 million. But it's okay. So under $1 million USD in revenue, game developers royalties apply after 1 million USD. Individuals and small businesses with less than 1 million USD in annual gross revenue, or educators and schools get it for free. Otherwise, it's basically based on like royalties or seats, and the seat cost is $1,850 per seat per year.
So Brightside, you're asking good questions, but that's the reason why Tim Sweeney did that. That's the reason why Epic did that, is because they saw Unity making mistakes and they were like, oh, now's our chance to crush them because they're our biggest competition. And they fucking did. They really did. So they know that this market, this audience is out there, and they want to keep these people using their tools because just like Tony said about Adobe, they know that the next generation is going to prefer their tools over the competitor. And so that will make it so that the studio buys their tool, all that other shit. So we're going to see things change over time. This whole situation with Unreal being free right now and the pricing model that Tony talked about, that's a relatively recent change. That's like the last 5 to 10 years. Oh,
I mean, the seat-based thing for the cinematic stuff is last year. Yeah.
I meant going free. Going free was like
UE4. Yeah.
Yeah, that was what, 2017, something like that, 2018. So like about a decade.
Yeah, it coincided with the launch of the Epic Game Store. They made Unreal Engine free up to $1 million.
Because they want everyone to make shit with their stuff because that makes them more profitable.
And
it's
so
really good for them.
I believe I was just reading revenue generated from sales in the Epic Game Store is royalty free. You never have to pay them if they sell on their platform.
So they want you in their ecosystem doing their thing. And Unity doesn't have that. And Unity was changing their pricing models. I don't know if you guys remember all this. There was this huge controversy where Unity was like, hey, even if you made a game on an older version of our software, you now have to pay us even though it's already out.
Yep.
And everyone was like, fuck you. We're not doing this anymore. I'm never using your tool again, which opened the door for Godot. It also opened the door for Epic to be like, we are doing our thing now, and you made a huge mistake, so we're going to take all of your audience. And you're going to see a lot of those changes just kind of happen over time. But right now, Unreal's on top, and it's on top for a reason. I just realized I keep doing the fucking 6-7 hand motion. God damn it. Yeah, my drawing. I'll never use Unity. Also, no source code with payment either. Yeah, so I developed in Unity until I got into Bungie, and then the pricing change occurred while I was at Bungie. And as soon as I got out, I was like, I'm going to Unreal all day, and we never looked back. Yeah, Brightside, the cinematic license, like Tony was saying, is a brand new thing. So Unreal's in a really good spot. That may not be the case in the future. It probably won't be. Things are always fluid, but it's great right now. So we're sticking with it. That's what we're going to do. If you're publishing a game on Steam, you just got to deal with it. Steam has that market completely cornered. You could try GOG. You could try Itch. If you really want to do that, your reach on those platforms is going to be way smaller than on Steam.
Feels to me like there's very little downside to put it on the Epic Game Store, put it on Steam, put it on, GOG, probably Itch. I go back and forth on, but like, I don't know, especially like the fact that the Epic Game Store doesn't take a cut if you get a sale there, and it probably would take you like 20 minutes to get it up there. And since you're putting an Unreal game on Steam, you have to get a license from Epic anyways that would put it on the Epic Game Store. Like, very little downside just to do it on both, unless I don't even know if Steam does exclusivity agreements with games or not. They must, because there's certain games that don't show up on both.
I don't think they care, honestly. They're just making so much money.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest issue is other platforms charge a premium. You have to do cert and all this other shit.
And I guess
people are like, that's cost prohibitive. I'm not going.
Steam, I want to say, is doing something to your game files that prevents them from easily being pirated. And like Itch and GOG aren't. And GOG, it's on purpose because they're trying to like give you the thing you paid for as a whole, which makes sense. But like, as a developer, that's another thing that you have to think about, is like, you don't want to just like do the thing that makes your game super easy to pirate.
Brightside said, going through Silent Sonata's old project file, you wouldn't believe how many delay nodes I have with 6.7. Maybe I manifested this shit. I mean, you're a musician, dude. How close were you to Skrilla? Like, yeah, I mean, maybe you guys were on like that same fucking mental wavelength. Your vibes were coinciding there.
You could have stopped your sentence at going through Silent Sonata's old project file. You wouldn't believe how many delay nodes. I'd be doing that,
Tony. Valve knows Steam is too big for most games to not be on there. Yeah, exactly. Valve has like very slowly over time built the best platform for delivering games on a PC. It's the way it is. And the man
and if you use their online services, it's just like, the player's name is showing up automatically. The game is getting backed up automatically. The achievements are working automatically. Like, multiplayer works out of the box. Like, I don't know. It's pretty enticing. It's a big chunk of change at the end of the day. And I always think it's interesting that like everybody is so mad about Apple taking 30% and nobody ever talks about Steam taking 30%. It's exactly the same number.
the amount of like positive PR and goodwill that they've garnered from the community is absurd. It's crazy. I'm not hating on Steam. They did it. They fucking did it. But that cut they take is large. And that was a slow creep over 20 years. They used to take no cut. They used to take 5%. They used to take 10%. They used to take 15%. And then all of a sudden they were like, we're just going to double it. And people were like, fuck. All right.
And the math is like, you know, you're paying approximately that much in taxes as well. So, you know, at the end of the day, like you sell a $10 game, like over $5 of it is not going in your pocket anymore. And
yep.
That's the reality of it.
Brightside said delay nodes were the least of my problems. Your boy was an event tick user. Yikes.
I mean, honestly, tick is more okay than delay, in my opinion, from the way I understand things now. But just, I'm kind of the belief these days where it's like, if you put a delay node in for anything other than like legitimately making something wait a few seconds because you need like timing to line up, then there's a problem. Like if you're solving something that isn't working with a delay node, you're just making the problem worse, probably.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I say all of that. But,
and that'll manifest in different situations because you'll have different hardware stuff and all kinds of other different user experiences.
Yeah, you might be delaying because of like a load time on your computer, and somebody with like an insane computer is gonna have half that load time, and your delay is gonna be weird. Like, it's one of those things that I think, especially when you first start using Unreal, you're like, wow, these delays are so handy. And just over time, like I look back through my old projects, I'm like, man, it's not good.
Brightside, I gotta say, I know you've been deep on Slice and Dice. I'm very happy to see you going back to Silent Sonata and looking at your old stuff, man. That's cool. And it's more just because I care about your mental well-being. And I know that if you stay on Slice and Dice, you're gonna fucking snap, bro. So get in there, work on some new shit. That's very good.
Speaking of actual game dev too, I think we went really, really long today and I didn't even open it, but I want to talk about Lyra next. And I think if you guys are especially going to be building a multiplayer game and you want to, you know, put your big boy pants on and get better at building games in Unreal, probably time to start looking at Lyra and learning the gameplay ability system and kind of that like modular Fortnite approach that Epic is really trying to push. So I've been trying to figure it out. It's definitely a lot, but I thought that might kind of go good with this Perforce thing and us all just, you know, maturing a little bit in our game dev careers. So tomorrow, that's what we'll do, is we'll talk about Lyra and just kind of why you might want to use it if you're going to be starting a new, especially multiplayer project. I think if you're doing something linear and single player, it would be massive overkill. But yeah, so definitely come through for that if you're into that.
No, I'm good, I swear. Yeah, dude. No, it's good, Brightside. I need to come through and check out one of your streams again soon. So yeah, I'll come through and see where you're at and how you're living, brother. Yeah, Lucian, value is an absolute wild card. It totally is. You have to be very careful with your pricing on Steam because you might make a game that's successful and make no money. So just be careful.
And price is another one of those things that is going to affect how your game is perceived. Even if it's free and it's an amazing game, people will, you know, mentally give it lower value than it should have. And if it's really expensive and not worth that, then, you know, people will not take it seriously. So it's just another one of those things that you really have to get right.
Yep. It's hard, but we're all doing it, you know? So cool. I think that's all I've got for today.
Yeah.
I'm glad we didn't really touch on any news because there's fucking nothing out there. It's all trash right now. So. Yo, what's up, Shooty? Yo, thank you, dude. And B's Minor. Nice, dude. Yeah. What's up, brother? Thank you for the resub. Really appreciate the 23 months of support, man. Artificial Sky, one of the biggest supporters. We were actually doing a tech demo talk tutorial thing today. And we explained like where, you know, some of the money goes that you guys give us. So yeah, it all goes to stuff like that. So thank you, Artificial Sky. If you want to, you know, watch the VOD or something, you can see like that's where your donations and stuff have gone to, is covering our DigitalOcean droplet, you know, covering Perforce stuff. I mean, it's free, but yeah, you know, as we figure all these things out, it's like, instead of coming directly out of our pockets, you guys are helping us continue to do the thing, which is great.
Yeah. And again, just before we wrap it up here, want to reiterate, I want to help you guys set your Perforce up and get this going. Please come through and, you know, hit me up on Discord, ask questions. I'll try to go through and just post the links that I was referencing in one of our channels there so that you guys have them. And then we will, you know, go over some like Lyra stuff tomorrow. And yeah, if there's anything else along these lines that you guys want us to go over to, please let me know. Happy to do it.
Shooty just dropped 5 gifted subs. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you so much.
Hell yeah, dude. Starting off the 2026 very well. Thank you, guys.
This man's sky may be artificial, but his support is very real.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Shooty, I need to play some. I got the PC build done. We need to play some Night Rain this week if you want to. So I know you're in there. I'm ass at it again right now, but yeah, we should get in there and play some. Cool. I think that's all I've got for today. We will see you guys tomorrow for some Lyra tech talks. And Tony's getting pretty deep in Lyra, and he set up some very cool shit that he was showing.
Probably also be kind of talking about like development tools and like how I've been doing some stuff with AI and just like a little more like what my process is looking like now, because it's changed a little bit and might be helpful information for some people who maybe want to try to get a little more AI in their workflow, which I highly encourage anybody doing anything technical to do. So yeah, we'll talk about all that tomorrow. Again, if there's, you know, ever something that you guys are like, hey, if you understand this, could you explain it to me or something? Put that stuff in Discord, and you know, we'll do a whole episode about it like this. So
thank you, guys. We will see you tomorrow. Thank you for all the support. You guys are wonderful. Yeah, we're looking forward to 2026. Gonna launch Dread hopefully soon. We're looking at probably end of February is my guess. So we'll see where it goes. But yeah, that's where we're at. Everyone be kind to each other. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow in the afternoon.
Thank you so much, everybody. Peace out.